Welcome back to Almost a True Crime Podcast. I'm Madison.
And I'm Taryn.
And we are a lively, conversation-based true crime podcast between two best friends. We take everything seriously except for ourselves. Listener discretion is advised due to the mature content and the amount of cuss words we say. You've been warned.
Hey guys.
Welcome back.
Welcome back.
Things are going great.
Yeah, they are.
They're not really.
Just a lot. It's just a lot.
Oh, I've like nothing really.
I know. Nothing that
relevant.
means anything to anyone else.
Yeah.
It's just all personal.
I am finally starting to feel a little better.
Yeah, Madison's had the plague for like 9 whole days.
8 negative COVID tests.
So we just...
One of which was sent out to a lab because they also didn't believe it.
Certainly don't have COVID.
I literally don't believe it.
I don't...
It's wild.
Maybe you had mono.
Mono?
Mononucleosis?
I only know that because of Bob's Burgers.
Oh, I'm like, I don't know why I know that. So that must be it. Did you know the Bob's Burgers movie is coming out?
It's already out.
Is it?
Yeah. I haven't seen it. I love Bob's
You and Brody
Burgers.
should watch it together. He loves Bob's
Does
Burgers.
he? It's my shit.
I think he just got so used to having to sit, like, that was just always what was on in your room.
Yep.
So, like, when he was younger.
Yeah,
like,
you just have to sit and watch
when
it.
he would just go over there and hang out. Now he loves it.
It's just my automatic. I turn it on anywhere.
Bob's
for any
Burgers
reason.
and, like, Family Guy. He keeps bringing up to people how much he likes Family Guy. And I'm like, maybe don't say that in front of people. Because you're definitely not supposed to watch it. And Stranger Things keeps telling people how much he loves Stranger Things.
I can't believe you watched this last season. I'm still not done yet. But
like, so he refused to watch it on the TV because
Okay,
he said
too
that
big.
that screen's too big. I like can't cover my face and still watch it. So he would only watch it on my laptop or his tablet, so he can like cover one eye and still see a lot of what's going on. Like on the TV, it's just too big, too scary.
that's so fun. Very specific set of rules.
I'm like, you know what? I understand the logic because I too was
Don't
like
fucking
that.
blame you.
I used to hide behind my hands for everything. My mom would be like, "Why do you want to watch a scary movie?" Because
And you don't
I would
watch
like
any of it.
hide and cover my ears.
Just none of
sometimes.
it.
Just,
Just so you can say that you watched
And
it.
now I'm so desensitized. I don't think any of it bothers me anymore. I watched The Ring. Doesn't bother me at all.
No.
No.
I'd honestly rather
Me and
die.
Phil watched it literally at nighttime. And I was like,
It didn't freak you out?
no. So stupid.
That's a big no-no for me. That's a no for me, dog.
Whatever. But I have not listened to the Patreon episode because the devil does scare me.
Yeah, if you're on the Patreon, I talked about The Conjuring 3, and then I did actually review some movies at the end because I had some extra time.
Oh.
Some recent scary movies I've watched.
Huh. Okay, I'll listen to it. I just
There's
get
really
scared.
no devil shit. I mean, maybe there is, but it's nothing like the first one.
Yeah.
With like an actual demon.
Yeah, that's scary. Bathsheba.
Yep.
I'm still scared of her.
Ingrained into your
Or
memory.
ever since I watched fucking Ya Llorona.
You think she's coming for you?
Dude, that one's scary. And like my sister, all like her friends are all Mexican and they're like, yeah, no, that's like a funny joke that people really do make.
Yeah. She's gonna come get you if you're bad.
If you're bad, I don't like that at all. Well, I saw her and I'm scared of her.
We can probably get started. We've got nothing really.
Yeah.
No response to either parts. That's fine. Less work for me to do. Except
There were a select few.
if you follow us on Facebook, I think it was on Facebook.
Yeah, all the
Use
comments. So.
The longest comment on earth about things that we eventually do address, just not part one. I was like, all right. All right.
Oh
Listen.
my gosh.
It says part one. You need to put your chronological timeline
just don't
order.
listen then. Like if you're already sure we're not gonna do what you think don't listen, make your own.
100%.
You already know everything. Why would you listen to it anyways?
100%.
Just to argue if you don't agree with what we're saying.
Exactly. You're not listening for new information
No,
because you know there's
everything,
new
clearly.
information.
Yeah, so.
You know, it is what it is.
All right.
You ready to find out what the fuck happens?
Yeah, because I still don't know. I mean, I know, but I don't know. You know?
Here we go. This part might be kind of long. I'm sorry. I'm going to try and fly through it.
You need a cough drop?
I need like a whole bunch of shit. Multiple things.
Are you sure you don't have pneumonia?
She said my lungs sound great because I thought that's the reason I went to urgent care. I was like, what if I actually have pneumonia and it's going untreated?
I know. Like, it sounds like you have so much shit in your chest.
It's only my chest, though. Like, I don't feel
Maybe
it.
you have fucking croup.
What's croup?
It's like what babies get. Does it hurt when you cough?
Kind of.
Yeah,
stay tuned. The first case of adult croup.
I just assume it's like whooping cough.
It's probably monkeypox.
Shut the fuck up! I hate you.
First. COVID, no. Monkeypox, absolutely. I'll be the first person to get it.
Remember when everyone was scared of the swine flu?
That was a genuine. That was like.
I think I got vaccinated for that, though. They were doing vaccinations at school.
H2N1?
Yes! H1N1.
Oh, bird flu. Bird flu was another one.
Whatever. I know there was
they did roll out a vaccine
at school,
for it.
and I'm pretty sure we got him. My parents are like, shoot her up.
We are super pro-vaccine. We'll vaccinate for anything.
Anything. Don't even give it a name. We'll shoot it in my arm.
I pretend to step on a rusty nail once a year so I can get a tetanus shot. Just in case.
Fucking genius. I have no plans to go to Africa, but I want to get all the shots. I want to get all the vaccines just in case.
Yes. What is that? Malaria.
Yes.
Things of that nature.
Euthanasia, right? You gotta get that before you go to Asia. Dude, that's a whole different thing. I had no idea what euthanasia meant.
You did it?
I'm like, what's going on with the euthanasia? What? What does that have to do with my dog?
I mean, when you say it out loud,
euthanasia.
It sounds like I could see you. Anyway,
okay.
Now that we've got that out of the way, you think they're always expecting at some point we say, "All right, let's get started," and then they know there's an additional 2 minutes.
Probably.
Okay. So I left off with Scott's support system shrinking. Well, it's about to get a lot smaller.
You left off with a terrible discovery.
I did. I went Dateline on your ass. So, on April 13th, 2003, almost 4 months after Laci went missing, at 4:15 p.m., Michael and Nicole Bellinger were walking their dog near the Richmond Inner Harbor on northern shore of the San Francisco Bay. They said it was a very low tide and that their dog sort of stopped and was really smelling something. And when they got closer, they looked and saw what looked like a decomposing body.
Oh, my God.
So they immediately went up to the nearest house and called 911 because it's 2003.
People don't have mobiles, cell phones all the time.
Richmond Fire Department, Richmond, California, just to remind you.
Richmond. Richmond.
You know some off-the-wall shit.
Richmond, Virginia, Coach Carter.
See, Richmond, California, just to remind everyone. They said, the fire department said they found the fetus first.
What?
Yeah.
Like it was outside of her body?
Mm-hmm. He was lying face up. All of his limbs were attached, but his right arm was almost severed. At 4:53 p.m., Connor was officially pronounced deceased. I'm just going to say Connor. We know it's Connor. They don't know that yet, but it's easier this way. The body was obviously in terrible shape, so they weren't able to identify the fetus's gender or race. So they, like I'm saying, they don't know they have Connor yet.
Yeah.
They said his intestines were exposed and there was a piece of nylon around his neck.
What?
Yeah. The police had to initially rule it an unexplained death. The fetus, by the way, they are calling it the fetus in this book, not me. I don't want to get into like the fetus baby fight with anyone. These are not my words. The fetus was a little over 3 pounds in full term. They estimated maybe a few days old at this point. There was no obvious cause of death, and they said the most trauma on the body was probably occurred after the baby was already dead. The Richmond police sent out a missing persons bulletin to see if any babies were missing from the area, because they don't have Laci yet either. So they're just thinking this is like a baby. What? This obviously reaches Modesto, and Detective Grogan immediately called and left a message because he was literally on his way to testify in another case. When he was on a brief recess from testifying, he received a call about a second body. The body of a woman washed up near Point Isabel in Richmond. The body was wearing a bra and the remnants of some pants. The park police had not located a skull or either legs.
What?
So she has no head or legs.
It's just her fucking torso?
Yes.
Oh my God, this is insane.
Traumatic. A pair of park visitors located the body around noon, and police recovered the body just east of Brooks Island, which is the exact spot Scott said he was fishing on Christmas Eve.
Oh, my God.
At this time, the lieutenant on the scene is assuming the stormy weather had just pushed these two bodies to shore. It had not occurred to them that they might be connected yet. The lieutenant told Modesto PD and Detective Grogan that regardless of what comes up, they should probably get to the scene as soon as possible because the media was starting to show up and also the tide was going to start coming in that might wash away evidence, like around them in the water. And they were going to have to move the body soon. Grogan tells the lieutenant on the scene to photograph and video as much as he possibly can and move the body whether or not Modesto PD is there and to not reveal to the media what type of clothing was found or the condition of the body, which is smart.
Yeah.
I'm assuming Modesto was letting them move it because the media is so prevalent. They want them to see and hear as little as possible. So, like, listen, don't even wait for us. Just move it right now. Because I'm pretty sure they're like helicopters. Like, this was...
Well, yeah.
They knew. Modesto PD was led down to the body, which was covered up in a yellow tarp. Like I said, the news did have helicopters going, and the tarp was already being shown on TV. Like, it was that fast. You luckily could not see the body, but if you look this up, you can see the yellow tarp in the water. When they were walking down to the body, the local police explained that this was a pretty heavy foot traffic area with joggers and stuff, so they definitely don't think the body had been there long. Like, someone definitely would have seen this. The body had no head, hands, or feet. There was nothing below the right knee, so the right shin was also missing. The rib cage and part of the spine were exposed, and most of the internal organs were missing.
Oh, my God.
The rest of the body that was still intact was badly decomposed. They would have to wait for DNA results, but the body was wearing a Bali brand bra. Brand bra? Okay, that didn't sound right when I said it. The pants had a maternity label on them and jockey underwear. They also recovered a 12 to 14-inch piece of duct tape that was on the front of the pants. They interviewed the woman who found the body. She said she located it around 11:45 a.m. She was watching some dogs in that area and noticed something that looked like a body but wrapped in something else. She also told police that she thought the dogs were eating it at one point.
Oh, my God. I would never let my dog lick me in the face again.
Never. She said, like, just so when you go look at the body for evidence, like, there were dogs over there. She wasn't sure how many dogs, but she said she definitely saw one big black dog that was over there before the owner dragged it away.
Can you imagine going to drag your dog away from something?
Fuck no. And it's the horror. The body was placed in a sheet inside a body bag and taken to the coroner's office, and cadaver dogs were ordered to the area to try and locate the rest of the remains. Brian Peterson, no relation, did the autopsy. Just another, so there's weird. Another weird Peterson in here. He did the autopsy on what they were calling baby doe. He concluded that the fetus was a full-term male between the weeks of 33 and 38. He was not able to tell if the body had went through the birthing process and whether or not the umbilical cord was tied or just simply detached. He did, however, find meconium in the bodies.
Meconium?
Yes. Nice.
It's poop.
It is poop, which helped him conclude that the baby was probably not born alive. I say probably because this is heavily debated.
If meconium gets in the lungs, they can get very, very sick, but it can, like, they can survive that.
That's so wild. I didn't know that. So, meconium is a substance that exists in the lower intestines, and 95% of live births is expelled by the fetus within 24 hours of being born. In Connor's case, it was still in his system and making its way out, so if he had been born alive, he did not survive past 24 hours.
Oh, that's sad. It's the nasty black tar poop they have.
Oh, is it?
Look at me. Mom knowledge.
I was wondering, as soon as I was reading it, I'm like, I wonder if you know this.
Yep.
Nice.
It's disgusting.
Babies are disgusting.
It's literally tar. So, like, yes, if it stays in their body, they will not be okay.
The lungs were wet, and it was impossible to tell if Connor had ever breathed, which is another thing that comes up.
Gosh, I have so many questions.
His stomach was empty, and there was no animal or fish activity on the body, which led them to believe that Connor was in utero until very recently.
What? What?
I get into it. There was nothing on the body that led them to believe it couldn't be Connor, so they couldn't say for certain it is, but nothing stuck out where they were like, oh, that's definitely not him. There was also a cord around the baby's neck that was debated. The cord was smaller than the head, leading people to believe the cord was intentionally placed around the baby's neck. However, they said Connor's brain was liquefied, So it is possible the cord was able to fit over his head that way, or it is possible it just got tangled and tied around his neck, which is completely possible. If it was intentionally placed, that would mean someone did something to Connor after he was born, so that part is also crucial. Monday, April 14th, Detective Grogan left messages for Laci's mom, dad, and brother and requested that they call him. Around 4 o'clock, Grogan talked to Laci's mom, Sharon, to let her know that they found bodies of a woman and an infant, but they had yet to be identified, and then called her back around 10 p.m. to warn the family of a breaking news report that a body was found with no head, hands, or legs, because she didn't know that yet either.
Oh, gosh.
Both Sharon and Laci's brother Brent asked where Scott was, and Grogan didn't know where he was either, so no one knows where he is. Sharon then called Jackie, Scott's mom, saying she's been trying to get hold of Scott all day and that she thought that he might want to be with the family given the news. Jackie had not been able to get a hold of Scott either, but Jackie told Sharon she was not confident that the bodies were Laci and Connor and reminded her a similar body washed up in January.
Okay, Jackie.
It'd be like, shut up. Shut up. Don't talk to me.
You know. We all know.
Yeah, we all know. That same evening, an autopsy was performed on Jane Doe. As said before, all of her organs were missing except her uterus. There were no evidence of tools being used on her body, which led them to believe if someone had cut her up, they did it using precise surgical cuts, or more likely that the body was weighted down at those points and the weight caused the body to naturally separate, which makes the most sense to me. If you're anchored down, your body's going to start to float and it's just going to detach at the points where it's tied down at. Her bones also showed no sign of injury except a couple broken ribs that would have occurred shortly before her death. Chief Coroner Vincent DeMau theorized that broken ribs could have come from one hard blow, like one kick, but the injuries were not consistent with something like dropping the body after death, so this definitely happened when she was alive. It was very clear the body was in the water for a very long time due to the missing limbs and the fish activity on her body. Fish will often start to eat the soft tissue and then make their way inside, and they will actually start to eat the organs. All the ways to identify Laci: tattoo, she was missing an ovary from when she was a child. Her dental records were all useless because of the state of decomposition, and her head still being missing. The uterus was enlarged, signaling her pregnancy. However, there was no evidence of a vaginal birth. There was also no evidence of knife marks to signal that the baby had been cut out. What? There was a hole in Laci's stomach that was large enough that the baby could fit out of it, usually from buildup of gases in the body. It's called a coffin birth.
Oh,
that's what they think.
God
happened.
I have never heard of this.
Never.
So, like, she died with this baby inside of her,
mm-hmm.
and it just, like, expelled out of her stomach.
Mm-hmm. From, like, all the gases, everything, like, when you die. It, like, balloons you up.
Oh, my God, I'm just... this is terrible.
Dr. Peterson wrote in his autopsy report that the body was likely in the water for 3 to 6 months. There were barnacles growing on the bones.
Ugh.
Awful.
I mean, not you, but, like, I just hope that's not a way oh, gosh, don't, like, wash me to...
It comes up later, and it gets even more heartbreaking, if that's possible. However, the red muscle tissue was still attached. It is theorized the cold water temperature slowed the decaying process and sort of preserved some of her body.
Oh, because it was, like, winter?
Yeah.
It's California. Like, can't get that cold.
That's what I think.
I mean, the ocean, though.
That's true. I guess I really don't know.
I actually have no idea. And, like, salt water.
But I guess, like, 70s, like, when we go to Lake Erie in, like, March, that's probably what it feels like. It feels freezing.
Yeah, you're probably right.
There were no drugs or poison in the body's system. Also near the body was a bag from Target brand. Not the actual Target. This is a different Target. They sold concrete grout for bridges, and they said the bag sounded like something they would use to cover their pallets, like a huge bag. Detectives at this time started looking for the missing posters Scott put up to see if he attached them with duct tape, and if that duct tape matched the fibers on the boat. And she had a huge, huge strip of duct tape on the front of her pants. At 5:50 that evening, another tip came in. This woman said she was out to eat that weekend and noticed something that looked like black or brown hair bobbing about 150 feet offshore. She said she didn't immediately call police because it didn't appear to be attached to anything. But now knowing that, like, a headless body was found, she wondered if that was actually Laci's head that she had saw.
Oh my! I'm gonna have nightmares of this.
I was just thinking that girl probably has nightmares and she didn't even see anything, but just knowing.
Hair. I would.
You wouldn't think anything either, though.
No, why would I think that's a freaking head floating around?
No. But that was really smart of her to, like, put it together.
Yeah.
2 cadaver dogs and their handlers went to search the area. The search dog walked up to a piece of fabric wedged between 2 rocks. The dog also super responded to the breeze and walked into the water until it was at its shoulders and it was forced to stop. They marked that spot to go back to. Police also found another piece of duct tape and a metal rod wrapped in duct tape. They took that for evidence. Meanwhile, they were able to locate Scott on Wednesday, April 16th at 9 a.m. via a wiretap. He wiretapped to the nines. He was staying at his sister Ann Bird's adoptive parents' house. He was also using their car because at this point he knew he was being followed. They went to follow him and saw an alarming scene. Scott was apparently wandering around the neighborhood. He had grown a goatee and bleached his hair and eyebrows.
What?
Yeah.
What are you doing? AKA, you're trying to disguise yourself.
Yeah.
How is this man still wandering free? Top of the list of my questions.
Doesn't happen for long. I think as soon as they saw this, they were like, okay.
Suspicious.
Yeah.
Like, you could have come on. Cops dig up all sorts of shit to keep people in jail.
They couldn't get him into jail.
Like, seriously? He has nobody on his fucking side.
Nobody. No one's going to go to bat for him. Like, how dare you false imprison him?
This is...
At around 11 p.m., Scott knew he was being under surveillance. He approached the truck, asking a lot of questions about what agency they were with and took down their license plate information. They stopped watching him around 5:30 a.m. when they realized they had actually lost him. Scott's sister, Anne, said she was the one who told him about the bodies. Anne also wrote that Anne is the one who wrote the book 33 Reasons My Brother is Guilty. Just so that's out there. So take what she says with a grain of salt. She said she told Scott about Laci's body, and he said that they would just figure out it wasn't Laci and go back to searching for her, very much in denial. Then... Also,
how do you know it's not Laci then?
Yeah.
Like...
It's not Laci. Okay.
Then where the fuck is she?
Then she says she told Scott they had found a baby, and that Scott seemed to become very angry, saying things like, who could do this? Like, Anne said he seemed the type of angry, like someone who had been discovered when police asked what type of mad he was. It wasn't like a shock mad. It was like he was pissed that, like, things are blowing up on his spot right now.
Yeah.
But like I said, she wrote a book, Blood Brother, 33 Reasons Scott Peterson's Guilty.
That is insane.
You could just write anything, I guess. I don't know.
I guess.
By the time this trial is over, like within that same year, Amber Frey had a book out. Like
dude, everyone
making money.
This book, everybody writes books.
This book I read about this case, she published before he was sentenced, is how quickly she got this together.
I want to write a book.
She was
about
like,
something.
Scott is still waiting to be sentenced.
I want to be a New York Times bestseller.
Doesn't seem that hard.
I need to take a writing class.
I feel like everyone is a New York Times bestseller. If Stassi Schroeder can be a New York Times bestseller.
Cat is a New York Times bestseller, though.
There's a rumor that Randall bought like a bunch of fucking books for her so she could get on the list. Which, whatever.
Whatever. He's the fucking worst. I hope he did, and I hope he used all his own money.
Same.
And I hope he's broke because of it. Because he's the worst.
Anyway, on April 18th, the detectives drove out to where Scott was staying to assist in his arrest. So they already had a warrant for his arrest because they said they wanted to wait until the DNA was done before they actually arrested him. So they're just going to sort of keep an eye on him, make sure he didn't flee, and the second they get those results, the warrant's ready to rock, they're ready. Brocchini was in the wire room tracking his calls and was in contact with the agents doing the actual surveillance. So Brocchini and I think Grogan, neither of them are on the scene doing this. At a certain point, the police concluded that Scott was doing something called counter surveillance. Essentially, he had figured out he was being followed and started like driving super weird just to make sure he was being followed. He would be on the highway. He would get off the highway. He would get right back on the highway. He came to a full-blown stop on a moving highway. And when another car behind him followed and also stopped, he became fully aware. Like, okay, why are you stopping behind me if you're not following me? The whole time he's doing this, he's on the phone with his brother, Joe. He told Joe that he couldn't meet him at the golf course that morning because he was being followed by a private investigator and didn't think it was a great idea to be photographed on a golf course right now, which is astute observation. Joe said he's been seeing people leave flowers and stuff at Scott and Laci's home and asked how long until the bodies were identified because he thought they could do it pretty fast, like in 2 or 3 days. And Scott said that he knew it wasn't Laci, and his brother agreed they probably did already know it wasn't Laci, and they were like trying to retest or something and then hung up. So they're scheming like they would have known by now. They would have said something. So they've probably figured out it's not Laci, and they're trying to figure out a way to like make this right.
Or they're just trying to really build their case against you.
Yeah, never occurred to them. Also, I'm like very winded.
I know. I can hear you. I'm sorry.
So,
do you want me to read some of this?
Our first ever dual case.
I don't know any of it. I'm literally just going to have to read.
So, you know, if you hear any deep breaths in this one, I usually try and edit them out, but there's going to be so fucking many because I cannot breathe because I have not COVID, not pneumonia, not strep, just nothing.
Fifth disease.
After that, around 8 a.m., Scott started driving seriously crazy, putting basically everyone's lives in danger. So this is 8 in the morning. This is like fresh in the morning he's pulling this bullshit. Then at 11, the media was reporting that the DNA results would come out soon and confirm the bodies of Laci and Connor Peterson, and Scott's arrest was imminent. This sort of caused the detectives to panic because if Scott got wind of that, he could possibly flee. Not that he's not thinking of fleeing already, but if he's catching wind of the media and the police haven't done anything yet, he can get the fuck out of Dodge. So Detective Grogan contacted the car following Scott and said to just arrest him, like it was getting too risky, like we're going to take our risk with the DNA test, just arrest him right now. They pulled him over, told him to get out of the car, and he asked if they found his wife and son, and they asked if he knew why he was being arrested. He asked if it was because of his erratic driving, and they said, can you think
this
of...
motherfucker. I don't know, I was driving kind of stupid. Could be because of that.
They said, can you think of any other reasons? And he said that they wanted him for a murder in Modesto. So around 11:15 a.m., after all this is over, Scott Peterson was arrested for the murder of his wife and son. His hair, eyebrows, and beard were all orange blonde. Scott is a clean-shaven, dark-haired man.
God.
This is what his mugshot looks like. If you look it up.
I'm going to look
it up right now.
Just because I want to...
He looks insane. Because I'm sure you've seen the pictures on our Instagram of what he usually looks like.
Right.
You're going to shit bricks.
Scott Peterson.
He's lost like 30 pounds.
He's like a handsome guy.
Yeah.
You know? No. Oh, is this him?
Where? Yes.
Fucking white trash Walter looking motherfucker.
Bleached all his hair.
His beard to everything. Yeah. Oh, look at this. Look at these next to each other. That's not the same man.
No.
What a motherfucker. Wow. That's insane.
Isn't it?
Oh my God. Oh, here's a top view of his hair.
A top view?
Look how bad that looks. Them
Can
dark
you imagine?
roots. I bet you he was so embarrassed in jail as his hair started growing out.
Can you imagine having to grow those roots out?
No, it was the sun. Wait, who used to say that? Oh my God, there's someone that would not admit they were getting highlights and they would say it was the sun.
Oh my God.
Who was it?
I don't know. This sounds so familiar to me.
I know. It was somebody. And they would say it was the sun. I'm like, no, bro, you got highlights. I can see it. Oh my God. Oh, I don't know. If any of our friends are listening and you know who we're talking about, please remind me.
Please.
That
Okay.
is so funny.
Scott Peterson is arrested looking nothing like Scott Peterson.
Not at all.
To make things worse, in the car, they found Scott's brother's license, who had blonde hair.
Oh my God.
Fleeing. They think he dyed his hair to use his brother's license.
Completely stealing his brother's identity.
Yeah. Also in the car was almost $15,000 in cash.
Oh my God. He was hightailing it out of Dodge.
$14,000 of that was still wrapped in $100 bills from the bank. 2 of his own credit cards and 1 of Anne's credit cards. An amount of Mexican currency. 12 pairs of shoes. An entire wardrobe. 4 cell phones. Viagra. 16 CDs.
This man and the fucking Viagra.
Needs it.
First of all, how old are you? Why do you need to pop Viagra like this?
It's an essential for him.
Oh, maybe because you have a guilty conscience because you murdered your pregnant wife.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I hate him.
He had sleeping pills, 2 guidebooks of California, and a ton of involved camping equipment. I'm not talking like a tent. This man had knives, a water purifier, a grill, razor blades, a shovel, waterproofing spray, binoculars, climbing rope,
he
tools,
was like prepared
fishing
to
poles.
go off the fucking grid if he had to.
Yeah, he's gonna camp his way into Mexico.
True, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically clear he was going somewhere and he was not planning on coming back.
Oh my God. Oh,
what if they
how
weren't
do you
there?
explain all of that? Like,
You can't. I'm sure he did, because he's
12 pairs of shoes.
that alone.
If you're backpacking,
Yeah.
you don't take 12 pairs of shoes.
No.
A wardrobe, credit cards, like
3 credit cards.
none of it's added
One of
up.
them isn't yours. At 12:05, he was taken to the DOJ and asked if he wanted to be booked in San Diego County or he could waive his right and be booked in Stanislaus County. At this point, Scott said he needed to talk to his lawyer first to decide. He was then photographed and was allowed to make 3 phone calls. He left his lawyer a voicemail. He called his mom to let her know that he had been arrested. And bizarrely, his 3rd call was to his friends Heather and Mike Richardson to apologize because he was going to send them some lavender cookies Laci usually made for them, but he said he couldn't send them out today because he had gotten arrested. That's his 3rd phone call. His final phone call. He's something unhinged in his brain.
He is.
Not right.
He is a sociopath.
He was
cannot change my mind on this.
No, I fully believe that. He was then left alone with DOJ agent Charles Welcome while Detective Grogan stepped out of the room. Scott apologized to Welcome for driving so crazy and said that he was supposed to take his niece to the movies in a few hours, but maybe he would just take her in a few weeks instead. Completely oblivious to what's happening. The agent said Scott did not seem to care at all that he was currently arrested. He displayed really no type of emotion, just staring, and he would smile as he talked, but he didn't seem sad or angry or anything. Again,
like you're not concerned about these bodies that washed up?
No, not in the slightest.
Especially if to him he thinks Laci is still alive, by now she would have had your son.
Yep.
Like, you're not
at all concerned. So Scott did choose to be booked in Stanislaus County. On the way back from dropping him off around 5:20, they received a call that the DNA results had come in, and Jane and Baby Doe were Laci and Connor Peterson, as we already know. Mm-hmm. Scott was required to be notified because he is technically the next of kin, which is why getting married is so weird. I'm like, do I really want someone else to be my next of kin?
Like, Phil has to find out before, like, you?
Or your parents.
Or my sister?
Yeah, they would.
My parents?
Call Phil. Phil is your next
and then he has to tell everybody?
He's going to be smoking that Newport 1000
I
sent you.
Oh, my God.
Trying to notify everyone. You should write something up.
I need to get a will in place because I just
do not contact Phil first.
Can you imagine? Phil don't deliver bad news good.
No, it would be so traumatizing.
Taryn's dead.
Literally. So, I hate to be the one to tell you this.
Oh my God, that's terrible. I don't want him to have to do that.
Isn't that a weird thought?
Yeah.
Like, you would know Phil died before Dolly would. They would call you.
Oh, I'm not telling anyone. What? No.
This has revealed some hard truths to us.
Oh my God. I can't tell his mother. I didn't think about it that way. No. We're going to the lawyer on Monday and we're getting our wills drawn up because I'm not doing that. I'm not telling anybody.
You're going to refer back to a child like when the police tell you, you're like, can you come tell his mom for me?
I'll call my parents and be like, this is what happened. I need you to do everything else. I can't do it.
This is the end of my reign. Like,
I'm
this
done.
Is it. I can't go any further than this.
Oh my God. Seriously, that's terrible, actually. I don't want to do any of that. Oh my God. So they have to tell him before they tell her parents.
Yeah.
This is really blowing my mind.
Isn't that wild? So they had to turn around.
Like, at some point.
This is going to become an issue.
And, like, what right does he have?
No.
Over her parents? I want my parents to be the first to know. They'll handle it better.
You should put a card in your wallet.
Yes.
If you find my
Call
body.
Mike and Jane. They'll be able to handle it better. Oh my God.
So, like I said, Scott was required to be notified. because he's legally their next of kin. They told Scott around 6:30 p.m., and they said one single tear rolled down his cheek, and that was it.
I hate him. Okay, Lauren Conrad.
Yeah,
did you do that?
A literal mascara tear. He seemed sad, but there were no words. He didn't say anything. They asked if he needed food.
Yeah, it was a fucking tear because he's like, oh, damn. Mm-hmm. He was like, I almost got away with it.
He did.
Almost. You heard it here on Almost.
On Almost. Oh, someone commented on our YouTube on part 1 that it almost made them wish they were deaf. And it was kind of funny, but I was in such a bad mood. I commented back and I was like, you could click the X. You don't have to wish to have a disability, you ableist, you fucker. Just turn it off.
I love. It's just been recently that people have been playing with our name.
They've been throwing
insults
zingers at us.
And I'm like, you know what? Step it up, you guys.
I'm surprised it took that long.
Literally, that one was the first one.
We're asking for it.
It's almost good. Like, that's fucking hilarious, you guys. Come on.
I love it.
If you're going to, then do that. Almost wish out. Fuck you. I hope you do go deaf, you little fucker.
So they asked if he needed food and he declined. They then left. By 8 o'clock, they were again transporting Scott. They stopped at In-N-Out where he ordered a double cheeseburger, fries, and a vanilla shake. This is an hour and a half later after they told him his wife died.
Built up a fucking appetite?
Yeah. Just
I
before.
can't even eat for hours after I get like yelled at.
Me either. It's ruined. I have no appetite. Takes like a full business day to return.
Yeah. Dude, I hate him.
Just before midnight, Scott was filmed being taken to be booked on 2 counts of first-degree murder. This was obviously very publicized. So as soon as Scott got arrested, more tips started rolling in. Like once people knew it was actually Scott. I mean, everyone knew, but now they're like, oh, fuck, it really was Scott. One tip came from Miguel Espadilla, who apparently went to Cal Poly with Scott and Laci. He said when he saw how Laci was found and then saw Scott was arrested, he recalled a conversation where Scott told him if he ever needed to get rid of a body, he would weigh down the head and dump the body in salt water.
Why? You guys held all of this until after, when it doesn't really matter that much anymore.
Maybe he really didn't remember until he was like, wait a damn minute. He said that Scott told him that way the fish would eat at the body and the fingertips, and eventually the head would separate from the body, making it a lot harder to identify.
What kind of sick motherfucker even knows that also?
I don't know.
Because I had no idea.
That comes up later. Another tip came from a man named Michael Griffin. He had posted an ad for his 1984 Mercedes-Benz, and on April 12th, Scott Peterson responded to the ad and came and test drove it. So this is days ago. 6 days ago, something like that.
Trying to get his getaway car?
Yeah. Scott Peterson responded to the ad and came in and test drove it. He wanted $5,000, but Scott offered him $3,600 cash, and the guy took it. Scott came back with 36 $100 bills and all the DMV forms from online. Weirdly, Michael said Scott had filled out all the forms under the name Jacqueline Peterson and just claimed that his parents had unfortunately chosen that name for him. He's like,
oh my God, what?
He's like, it's one of those weird unisex family names. Like, my name is legally Jacqueline Peterson.
Or there's like, what's the name I want to think of?
There are boy Shannons.
Yes, Shannon, and oh my God, there's like another one.
Leslie.
Shelly.
Or
Shelby.
Oh, I think I've heard that. But yeah, so he's claiming like, this is just my name.
Yeah, I get who, and like, you don't know this guy, so who are you to like?
Yeah.
I guess.
He appeared to be in a hurry and did not produce an ID, but did tell him his alleged driver's license number from a Florida license. He's like all in on like multiple lies.
Just doing the fucking most over here.
There was a similar call from a man named Mario where Scott tried to buy a car from him with the name Jacqueline. He ended up selling the car to someone else, and Scott got like real fucking pissed at this guy and accused him of wasting his time. So like he's using this name trying to buy a car. And he obviously really wants it because he was actually very pissed at that guy who sold that car out from under him. On April 21st at 1:30, Scott was arraigned. Judge Nancy Ashley of Stanislaus County Superior Court read the charges to Scott on or about in between December 23rd and December 24th, 2002. Defendant did commit a felony murder violation of Section 187 of the California Penal Code, in that the defendant did willfully, unlawfully, and feloniously, and with malice aforethought, murder Laci Denise Peterson, a human being. It is further alleged as to count 1 of murder, the defendant acted intentionally, deliberately, and with premeditation. He was also charged again for the murder of Connor Peterson. Very similar verbiage. Scott then pleaded not guilty, and he was not eligible for bail. So immediately a lot going on here. They already think they have enough to prove this was planned and on purpose. Even though mere days ago they had nothing. They're like, we're blowing it all up now. We're going all in. And he wasn't eligible for bail because of the premeditated murder factor. And it wasn't brought up, but I'm sure he's an extreme flight risk.
You think?
I'm sure that had a lot to do with it. After the arraignment, Laci's family gave a press conference. Her mom said the minute she got the call Laci was missing, she knew something awful happened to her and Connor. She said Laci's killer should be held accountable and punished for the tragedy and devastation they caused their family. And she hopes the sounds of Laci's voice begging for her life and the life of her unborn child plays over and over again in the killer's head for the rest of their life.
Clearly it doesn't. He's
clearly not.
Life.
They also said they felt sorry for Lee and Jackie Peterson because they didn't deserve this, but their family didn't deserve this either. Like, listen, we feel bad for you. You don't deserve it, but we also don't deserve this. By the way, our daughter.
Yeah.
Scott's friend Mike, funny, here we go. Scott's friend Mike said Scott showed up to his house with all his hair bleached, and Scott told him it was chlorine from the pool.
Oh my! First of all, that's not what happens.
No. Second of all, if you have looked at this picture, you know it's not chlorine.
First of all, chlorine makes your hair green.
If it's already blonde.
Your hair was brown.
Yeah.
Oh my God. It was just from the sun. I've just been out in the sun.
Literally.
It's like April. Where are you even swimming at?
I don't fucking know.
Oh my God. I hate this man so much.
He's such a liar.
I want to send him my shit. Is he still alive?
Yeah.
Okay, well.
I have very, very, very recent updates as of like a week ago.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Scott's friend Mike, oh wait, I already said that. On April 25th, DA Dave Harris and Detective Grogan met with members of Laci's family to discuss the death penalty. All of Laci's family members stated that if found guilty, they supported the death penalty for Scott.
Love to hear it. I'm just kidding. You don't, I didn't mean that. You don't love to hear it.
But I mean, in a not literal sense, you love to hear it. Like, fuck you, dude. But
I don't support capital punishment. But
me either. It was a very recent development for me.
It's hard. It is hard.
You just can't pick and choose. It makes perfect sense in some instances, but you can't do that.
You can't.
Because then it's up for
everyone.
everyone.
You can't say some people deserve to die and some people don't.
You can't.
And it's not a... Whatever. I'm not... That's fine.
That's as far as we'll go.
I'm not doing this.
Sharon also told Detective Grogan that they were planning a memorial service for Laci and Connor on May 4th, which was Laci's birthday.
May the 4th.
May the 4th be
Big
with
Star
you.
Wars fans?
Probably not. I'm assuming they seem not that they're too good for Star Wars, but definitely not something that they would be.
Not science fiction
their
people.
Free time on.
What if Laci really loves Star Wars and they're like,
That would be wild.
You never know. The more you know.
The more you know. Laci's family got word that Amber's sister and mother wanted to attend the memorial.
Oh my God. Poor Amber. I still forget about her.
I know. And the family had the detectives ask that they all actually stay away from the memorial. They said they were grateful for the way Amber handled things, but they really wanted this to be about Laci and Connor, and if they showed up, surely it would not be about...
media frenzy.
Yeah. Shortly
That's
after...
true. But poor her. Like, she really just wants to, like, pay respect. She had no idea. Like,
yeah.
She has to, like, not that she did anything wrong, but she has guilt.
Yeah.
Like,
I couldn't imagine. Shortly after they discussed this, the DA said that they were, in fact, going to be seeking the death penalty, which isn't that shocking. Of course they were. It's the perfect case to seek a death penalty.
Absolutely.
On April 29th, Mark Agaros announced that he was taking Scott's case pro bono. He would be
What?
Which doesn't make sense to me because he does get paid, but I'm not sure what he's getting at here. He would be arriving to take over on May 2nd, so everything happening between that...
Who sees this and thinks, I want to represent that guy for free, actually?
Psychopaths. Well, people who want...
Freaking...
publicity. Jose Baez.
I can't think of his last fucking name.
He did another one. He did...
Yes. He did Casey Anthony.
And another big one.
Who was it?
Was it Jodi Arias?
Was it? It was someone.
What's with him and mousy brown-haired women?
Well. I mean. Jose Baez.
I like someone weird. Are we making this up? Are you not finding anything?
Aaron Hernandez.
What? That is what it was. Not mousy brown hair.
And Harvey Weinstein.
Oh, this fuck. That's
Jose
too far.
Baez is the fucking worst.
You should have got Scott Peterson. You should have just made it a whole thing.
Oh my God.
Harvey Wein. Who sees? I would not touch out 10-foot pole.
Oh, never.
Never.
Nope.
No.
What a fucking pig of a man.
That's awful.
We need to do Aaron Hernandez. I don't really know much about it.
You don't? Okay,
No.
then I want to do it because I know.
Aaron Hernandez and who's the other one? The brothers. The Menendez brothers. Don't know a lot about it.
No, they're both really good. Well, not good, but
yeah.
interesting.
I know what you mean.
Okay, like I said, he would be taking over the case. He would be arriving to take over on May 2nd, so everything happening between that had to be postponed because Scott had to get a new lawyer. On Larry King Live, he said part of the reason people go into criminal law is to represent the underdog and try to make it a truly adversarial system.
Shut
and that
the
was
fuck up.
intriguing to him in this case. Whatever.
I just could never do that. I could never. Especially with a case like in the media.
You take an oath to represent all of your clients to the best of your abilities. And you literally have to.
Also, I've been watching Grey's Anatomy.
Okay. Medical expert.
Doctors have to do the same thing. You have to save their life. And there was this guy who was a serial killer. He killed like 7 women. And Dr. Shepard had to save him.
It's exactly like that.
So, you know, I don't know a lot, but everybody's equal in the law and the medical industry.
I guess. Another interesting thing that happened on the show was Lee Peterson, Scott's dad, called in to confront Nancy Grace. He's calling in. He's like, I've had a fucking enough.
Nancy Grace.
I hope
Grace.
Everyone from part 2 looked up Nancy
Oh
Grace.
my God.
It's not the person you want to call and confront
Absolutely
live on air.
not. She's going to hand you your ass with a fucking southern accent.
Oh, yeah. Lee was basically like, I'm sick of this. This seems weirdly personal to you. Like, you've never attacked anyone else on your show like you've attacked Scott. And she was
What seems personal to me, Lee, is that your husband or your son murdered his pregnant wife and then bleached his hair.
That's word for word what Nancy Grace sounds like. She basically just yelled back to him.
Nancy Grace for Halloween.
Oh, fuck.
Wait a second.
That would be so good. You be Nancy Grace. I'll be the Long Island medium. Just 2 of the loudest fucking people.
Wait, I actually always want to be Fran Drescher.
Oh,
The
my
nanny.
God.
There's too many. We have to have a week of Halloween.
We do. So Nancy was basically like, I feel for you. I really do. But I'm just saying what it exactly looks like happened.
I just had a light bulb idea.
What?
Let the listeners decide. Every episode in October, we are different characters for the whole podcast.
For the Patreon, we can wear costumes every week.
Yes. Let us know what you
That's a
think.
great idea.
Okay,
Basically, the segment, it went on for way too long. It's just them yelling at each other.
I love Nancy
about the
Grace.
same
She's
things.
not fucking backing down.
Never. You will never catch that woman backing down.
No. She ain't never wrong.
No. Maybe sometimes. On May 4th, 2003, thousands of friends and family members gathered at the First Baptist Church in Modesto to say goodbye to Laci and Connor on what would have been Laci's 28th birthday.
What?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Our age. Younger than us.
That is so sad.
It's awful.
Oh man.
But instead of watching it, Scott was meeting with his lawyer. However, his team said this was a dramatic way to make him seem bad, and his family had their own private memorial service at the prison. So
whatever. Okay.
Yeah. Scott is...
Yeah, them along with the one tear he shed.
Yeah. The 4 of them.
Yeah.
Scott is also under intense security right now because of all the death threats he was getting. One of the workers said with California's 3-strike law, which basically states if you commit 3 or more felonies, your sentence will be 25 to life. which is a weird fucking thing. So basically, a lot of these people had essentially nothing to lose.
Damn.
They're already on their third
3
strike.
or more felonies.
Yeah.
That's crazy because, like, there are some small things.
Yeah, there are drug felonies. You're going to go to jail forever.
Damn.
I don't know if that's a thing anymore. I hope it's not. So basically, they were just like, we have nothing to lose and notoriety to gain.
You can be a felon if you miss, like, too much child support.
That's wild. Imagine going to jail for life because you don't pay your child support.
Well.
Should you?
Maybe.
Should you? Also, obviously, he was labeled as a baby killer, which people don't mess around about crimes about children.
Yeah.
Then, in June of 2003, D.A. Harris was meeting with Amber Frey to sort of familiarize her with the courtroom and things in the case in case she was called to testify. She then handed over a handwritten letter from Scott saying he expects to be acquitted of all charges and can't wait for the preliminary hearing to be over, and while he was in custody, he would take time to do the work of the Lord, and he thanked Amber for leading him to God and apologized for dragging her in such a media frenzy.
Oh my God.
In jail, he's still contacting Amber.
It's going to be acquitted.
Yeah, and he's still like, this isn't a big deal. We could be together.
They have the bodies, bud.
It's over.
You... And he obviously can't believe that. He was trying to flee.
Literally.
Like, you know that's not how this is going to go. He is something else.
He's lost in the sauce.
He's lost in the sauce.
She then handed over 2 emails Scott sent her before he went to jail from his new email address, which was Purpose Life 2003.
Oh, for crying out loud.
He was basically just saying, like, I spent time with my nephews today. I built a deck for this old lady today. Just, like, building up this great resume of, like, what a great person he is.
In jail?
No, this is before jail.
Oh, I'm like, wait, what?
He had sent these before jail. Between March and June, there were some debates over the wiretaps and the dog searches and what should and should not be allowed at trial. It was decided that all of the wiretaps, even some unheard ones found in June, would be admissible at trial. However, the dog searches at the Peterson home would not be allowed in court. The judge called them iffy at best. But on the flip side, the dog searches from outside Scott's work building would be admissible. The ones that showed that he was definitely on the highway. The preliminary hearing was on October 29th, 2003. At this point, they did not introduce any wiretaps and they did not call Amber as a witness. They did call a DNA witness to explain the hairs found in the pliers in Scott's warehouse. The prosecution called Constance Fisher, who did the analysis that led them to the conclusion that Laci could not be counted out as who the hair belonged to, but without the root, they couldn't single it down any further than 1 in 112 people, which, that's wild to me. I thought hair was a much better DNA source.
I thought so too.
But I guess without the root,
yeah,
really, it's just hair. They could confirm, however, that the sequence they found eliminated the idea that it could be Scott's hair. It's definitely not Scott's.
Oh my God. I have hair extensions. What if?
Isn't that weird to think about? Whose DNA is that?
Never thought of that until right now.
I don't know.
I could really fuck my life up.
The defense called their own witness, who was basically like, yes, it could be only 1 in 112 people, but this DNA sequence could actually be 1 in 9 people, which really opens up the possibilities that it could be someone else's. I don't know how they reached this conclusion. I have literally no idea, but they're like, this specific sequence could be as common as 1 in 9.
That's DNA is like
so bizarre. I don't understand it. He also obviously brought up there are such things as false DNA matches. They're shooting for anything. And also, it could be wrong.
Yeah.
This could be nothing.
Yeah.
Scott's lawyer, Gregaros, brought up that there are 2 hairs in the bag, but they only found 1 hair in the pliers and accused them of planting evidence.
Oh.
However, the explanation was that the single hair split and broke into 2 hairs while in evidence, which I guess is possible, but hair's a lot stronger than you think, unless it was already frayed. Split ends will just rip into 2 pieces of hair
you have.
That's true. Detective Al Brocchini, the detective who did not like Scott, was on the stand for the better part of 3 days, giving the timeline starting from December 24th and forward. While he does this, Kirk McAllister, who allegedly fired Scott as a client but didn't leave Scott's defense team yet, accused him being too immediately hyper-focused on Scott as a suspect, and that they were probably not chasing leads like he could have been because he was so insistent it was Scott. He's like, listen, your immediate infatuation was weird, and you could have missed a ton of things because of it. Which is true. Not that their immediate suspicion was wrong.
Right.
But whatever.
It does happen.
Next on the stand was Coroner Brian Peterson, who did the autopsies. Laci's family left the courtroom as Brian explained his findings. He stated that Connor was not born alive, and secondly, he believed that Connor was inside of Laci's womb, probably just up until he was found, due to the fact that Laci's uterus was still intact and that the conditions of their bodies were so different. Remember, Connor had, like, no decomposition.
Right. So he was inside of her.
Yeah.
Oh my
like, no,
God.
like, there was no fish element to it, like, where Laci's body was destroyed.
Oh, my God.
When Scott was shown the autopsy photos in jail, he broke down sobbing, saying, she's got no fucking head. And when he learned that she had caffeine in her system, he said that they tortured her, which is a very weird thing to say.
What?
Like someone kidnapped her and pumped her full of caffeine and tortured her. I don't fucking know. Like, maybe they kept her up for days. I don't know. I don't know what he's thinking.
Maybe she had a cup of coffee that day.
Yeah, maybe she had coffee before you murdered her. Allegedly. On November 18th, 2003, the judge ruled that there was enough evidence to go to trial. Not at all shocking. I would have shit bricks if they were like, there's not enough.
Yeah.
Scott was formally arraigned on December 3rd, 2003, and his not guilty plea was no shock to anyone. He was like, still pleading not guilty. However, the real shocker was Gregaros, his lawyer, requested a trial date of January 26th, 2004, less than 2 months from his arraignment. Usually you would want more time in between to really prepare for what they're going to throw at you. Like, you need to start prepping what questions you think they're going to have and how you're going to figure out how to refute them. On December 12th, 2003, the defense filed for a change of venue, stating there was no way Scott could receive a fair trial in Laci's hometown of Modesto, and with the insane news coverage that there was. On January 8th, 2004, the change of venue was granted.
Yeah.
It had to be.
Of course.
That would have been so easy for them to be like, this was not a fair trial.
Oh, yeah.
How fucking dare.
Appealed immediately.
Yep. Also, it said before the preliminary hearing that Scott had actually tried to hire a different lawyer than Gregaros. He said that what his parents paid for the lawyer, allegedly Scott's parents put a retainer of $1 million down for this guy for Scott. Scott said he felt he wasn't getting enough attention. Gregaros did not visit him in prison. He did not answer his questions. When Gregaros caught wind of this, he confronted Scott and was basically like, if you switch, you're going to fry. Like, I can win this case for you. So the trial was obviously surrounded with a huge media storm. When the case got moved, Gregaros wanted to keep the same judge. However, that judge refused to move to Redwood to try the case, so another judge was selected. And Gregaros objected that judge and delayed the trial by another week.
God.
Ultimately, both the prosecution and defense agreed that retired Judge Alfred DeLucchi had actually been in retirement since 1998. So, like,
the fuck?
He was most known for trying the 1990 case of Huey Newton, who murdered Black Panther co-founder Tyrone Robinson. He also heard a case after his retirement where he sentenced Giles Albert Nady Jr. to death for the sexually motivated murder of a minister's wife. So he had been...
So he just, like, pops in
whenever he
while.
wants.
He's, like, bored. He has some time.
Yeah.
Needs some extra money.
DeLucchi made the decision to ban court TV from broadcasting the trial, and there was a gag order on attorneys and witnesses. So this trial was really only relayed by the media who were allowed to be in the room. That's, like, the only way we knew anything about this case.
It's so crazy, like, how a gag order actually, like, works.
Yeah, you, like
you're
cannot.
Actually not allowed to.
Yeah. Jury selection began on March...
Be me?
No, it can be me. Put me on a jury.
You, for sure. I was just talking to someone. I'm like, I can't keep a secret, but if you ever have a secret you need something to keep, tell Madison.
I don't know. I just have no urge to tell a secret.
Or spoil a TV show or anything. What a... You have such a pure and honest heart.
I don't know if that's what it is. It's probably some deep-rooted trauma. Can't be anything good. It just can't be.
It's not just like a good quality.
No.
It came from something dark.
Yeah. Jury selection began on March 4th, 2004 in Mateo County Superior Court. Nearly 3 months later, they finally had a jury, which I'm sure it was impossible to find a jury.
How? How could you find a jury that hasn't... Like, that's insane.
Yeah.
That will always blow my mind. Like, you can't have heard anything.
Yeah, it's crazy to me. They said one woman wasn't chosen because she told the courthouse that she had no idea Scott would be so charming. Just, like, you can't say that. Like, not only can you not know about the case.
That's how I'd get kicked out.
100%.
Like, wait, he's kind of hot.
Oh,
my God.
On May 27th, 12 jurors and 6 alternates were sworn in with an even mix of genders, which is odd because they don't always do it like that. Mm-mm. So there's 6 men, 6 women, and then 3 men and 3 women as alternates. It was like a true even split.
Wow.
The trial began on Tuesday, June 1st in the Superior Courtroom 2M of the Redwood County Courthouse. County prosecutors Rick DeStasio and Dave Harris were on the side for the prosecution, and for the defense, whatever. There's not a V in sight. I don't know where that came from. And for the defense, it was Mark Gregaros and Pat Harris. Scott's old lawyer, McAllister, seemed to have finally faded away at this point. He's no longer involved. I don't know why he was involved for so long. On opposing sides of the courtroom were Laci and Scott's families, media in the middle, and then the back seats of the court were watchers who lined up each day to watch the trial.
I can't imagine, like, that's so crazy to me that people can just come in. Like, you have to be there so fucking,
Amber Heard?
Yeah.
You just wait in line.
You just have to get there early as shit, camp out, and then you just get to go in and watch it.
Can you imagine doing that for anything?
No.
That's wild.
But I want to.
You can.
Like, I want, like, should I just go start hanging around the fucking courthouse?
When Sam's dad retired, because he was the judge.
Oh, yeah.
We went to his last day of court. We just sat and watched him try all these cases. We were just allowed to go.
That is so crazy.
Wild.
Huh. It's a good way to find a jail pen pal.
No, moving on. I can't fuel you here. The trial was expected to last 4 to 5 months, which I think is kind of short. Given how, well, I don't know.
I feel like that's pretty
an accurate depiction of how long this might take.
I think, like, I don't know, Manson took
forever,
but I think like 6 months is pretty average for something like this.
That's true. So DeStasio gave his opening remarks. He had a low-key, non-theatrical style. He detailed the morning of December 23rd, 2004. He said he would prove that Scott did not leave for the marina at the time he said he did because of cell phone records. And he would prove that he did not watch Martha Stewart that morning with Laci because Martha Stewart was not talking about meringues on that episode. She did that the day before. I don't remember if I said that or not. They think that it's very common for people to make alibis the day of based on things they did the day before.
Oh.
So they're saying Scott told them he watched Martha Stewart with Laci that day. She was talking about meringues. They watched this episode. Can you imagine,
like, that was someone's job to look up what Martha Stewart was talking about that
someone
day?
had to watch that episode.
Yeah. She never once brought up meringues.
I'll tell you who did it.
They're like, all right, watch the day before and watch the day after.
And the day before, she sure did make meringue cookies. So they're like, you
are a liar.
Pulling from the day before. Whatever.
That's crazy.
The next day, Gregaros gave his opening statement in dramatic fashion. He's a very flashy Jose Baez type of motherfucker.
Oh my God. Oh, I hate him.
He said he would prove that Scott was stone cold innocent. He said Scott might be guilty of bad behavior, but that doesn't make him a murderer. He said he's not going to refute basically that Scott sucks, but this is a murder case and there has to be evidence of murder. He's like, listen, we all know he sucks. He's the worst.
That is crazy. They still don't have like
nothing. They have nothing on him.
They don't have anything,
murder.
And they don't even have like how he killed her.
Nope. They have literally, and that's basically what he's saying to them. He's like, listen,
so insane.
He sucks. You cannot count that into your decision. Like, you legally cannot do that.
Isn't that so crazy?
It is crazy.
But
what?
Charles Manson got fucking prosecuted, so
it's crazy. The law is nothing and everything.
Anyone.
No rules, not rules.
Seriously, if you can word it right,
it's made up.
All you have to do is be very persuasive. Really,
yeah.
Comes down to a jury.
He delivered an overview of evidence he said he would bring forward that would exonerate Scott. There was the witness who saw Laci walking her dog, an expert that would testify that Laci carried Connor to term, both of which refute the prosecution's timeline. He also insisted that the hair on the pliers was there on December 20th, well before Laci went missing. Then, in dramatic fashion, before he ended his statement, he's like wrapping it up, making people think he's done. He turns on the TV.
Oh, God.
He plays the tape of the Martha Stewart show from December 24th, 2002, where at 9:48 a.m., Martha Stewart is actually seen talking to her guest about meringues, just like Scott said. Whoever watched that tape didn't watch it long enough to realize.
That sucks.
Yeah.
Especially if that was such a, like,
That was their big thing.
Oh, my God.
He then played it twice.
Okay, we get it.
Just in case Modesto PD missed it the first time,
I'm
he
literally
said.
picturing Jose Baez. I don't know what this attorney looks like,
That's
but
what I'm
it's
picturing.
Jose Baez.
The courtroom was erupting in laughter at the Modesto PD for missing something so blatantly obvious that Scott was telling the truth.
Can you imagine the person that was their job?
There's poop in their pants in this courtroom.
That
They are clenching. They're writing their resignation letter on the stand.
I'm like, oh, fuck. Damn.
Wild.
They probably were, like, not even watching, just, like, listening for, like, meringue. And they're like, oh, they never even said it. And then they went, and they're like, oh, this one's all about meringues. Oh, my God.
Now, Scott was supposedly gone at 9:30. This would prove at the very least that his timeline is off by 20 minutes, thus shortening the window of time Laci would have had to go missing, since we know Mackenzie was found at 10:18. So this doesn't really help them in a long-term way. It just shows that the Modesto PD fucked up hardcore.
Exactly. And if they fucked up on that, what else could they have fucked up on?
Exactly.
Damn. And your opening, too. Like,
yeah.
it's just planned out.
Exactly. That's really, they did that. It did not help them. It actually hurt them a little bit because of the timeline, but they only did it to show how stupid the Modesto PD was. Because essentially now it's making harder for them to argue that Laci got up, got shoes on, got Mackenzie ready, went for a walk, and then got kidnapped in less than 30 minutes. Seems impossible now. But whatever. That's what they wanted to go with.
Yeah.
And it is. I can see why they did it. It's a big get.
Makes them seem incompetent.
Yeah. There is a courtroom tactic called start strong and end strong. Basically, it's alluding to the fact that people tend to remember the very beginning and the very end of court cases. Whatever happens in the middle tends to get a little lost once they're, like, in the deliberation room. So I see why they chose to do this now. They're going to remember this hardcore when they're deliberating. The prosecution chose the opposite approach. Instead of coming out with guns blazing with Amber Frye, like they could have, they brought up the Petersons' housekeeper, Margarita Neva. She testified that she cleaned the Petersons' house on December 23rd, 2002, and left a single mop outside and a bucket of rags on the washer. However, when they got to the house on December 24th, there were 2 mops outside and an empty bucket outside. Like I said, it said this was really the first of several times they just went over and over and over of the facts of the timeline. It was described as painstakingly meticulous. Like, we get it.
Yeah.
I'm already annoyed at how many times I have said it. That's all they have.
But that also means they're grasping.
Yeah.
Like,
So, Gregaros was a very flashy hotshot lawyer, and he was really good at cross-examining. So the prosecution is really trying to do everything they can do so he has nothing to poke holes into. They're like, say the facts of what happened.
Yeah.
On cross-examination, Amy Roca, Laci's sister, admitted to Gregaros that she thought Scott was the last person who would hurt anyone. When cross-examining Sharon, Laci's mother, Sharon said that if Laci knew about Amber Frye and knew that Scott was having an affair, that Laci would have told her. Gregaros then got her to admit that Laci did not tell her about Scott's affair with Janet when he was in college, even though we know now that she knew that. Sharon also admitted that she hadn't told police Scott used the phrase Laci's missing until Amber Frye came forward, perhaps implying that after she knew Scott was having an affair, she was willing to do whatever to get him arrested. I don't know what they were getting at there.
Yeah.
Sharon said she just didn't think about the significance of those words until she learned about Scott's infidelity. When Gregaros was examining Ron Gransky, which is her stepdad, Ron brought up Scott's fishy story and that it was too late in the day to go fishing, things like this, to which Gregaros discovered that Ron had gone fishing at the exact same time that day and didn't tell anyone he was going fishing either. So he's like, why would someone go fishing that late in the day, not tell anyone what you're doing? He did the exact same thing that very day. Great cross-examiner.
Clearly.
Brent's wife, Rosemarie, was also examined. She maintained that Scott said he was hoping for infertility and then admitted that she also did not bring that up until after Amber Frye had emerged. Which I don't understand the significance of, like, so what? But I think they're alluding to the fact, like, well, you hate him. So you're saying anything.
Right.
Peterson family friend Harvey Kemple was next, where he went on the stand to say he recalled a time when Scott was at a cookout and he burned the chicken, and Scott showed more emotion about burning the chicken than he did at any moment when Laci was missing. This is brought up literally a million times, this chicken thing. I don't see the significance of it. And I was going to leave it out, but I kept reading it and reading it and reading it. Like, fine, I'll fucking say it. He also admitted to secretly tailing Scott and said one time when Scott was at the command center, he said he was leaving to go hang up posters for Laci. Kemple followed him and watched Scott sit in the parking lot of the strip mall for an entire hour and never hung up one poster. He's like, I'm going to hang up posters, and parked at the mall and sat there. There was also another incident similar to that where Scott left the command center and then just went to a place he played golf at. Gargo's co-counsel Harris cross-examined him and basically said, like, your Sky tactics are a bit odd for a grown man. Yeah. Which, I mean, not really. Scott obviously needed to be followed.
Yeah.
He's someone who needed to be tailed.
Clearly.
Next, Scott neighbors testified to his movements in the morning, including Kim Service, who found Mackenzie at 10:18. Under cross-examination, they argued her method of using time-stamped receipts from the store and the bank to pinpoint the moment she found Mackenzie was unreliable. So she wasn't looking at a clock. She was like, I obviously left the store at this time.
God, I never have any idea what time it is.
Never. So she's going off of receipts to make her timeline. His team was able to prove that the store's cash register receipt was off by 10 minutes when they went to that store. Then several police officers were examined, blah, 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 blah. The prosecution at this point still has not really done anything.
Yeah.
People said the jurors were audibly bored looking. I mean, I'm sure they were expecting some OJ type.
This is so fucking tedious.
They have nothing.
Yeah.
Both the prosecution and the defense in that case were on one. And really, all this case so far is the prosecution going over fact after fact after fact over and over again. And the defense is just ripping apart witnesses. Like, they're not on the same level right now.
No, because, I mean, especially if they're just ripping apart fact, like what they think is fact after fact. Like, they don't have any stable timeline.
Like, 10:18? Well,
that's
I
wrong.
just went to that store and that receipt is 10 minutes off.
Yeah, like, they've got nothing.
Yeah. Then, on June 5th, 2004, Juror 5 was seen talking to Brent Roca outside of the courthouse when they were walking through the metal detector. You can't do that.
Not allowed.
Not allowed at all. All the cameras were able to pick up was the juror saying the words, lose today. Those two words were analyzed to the 9th degree.
It doesn't even matter if you were talking about a fucking sports game.
You cannot. You can't talk to anyone.
Kick them out. Right?
No.
What?
Eventually, yes, but this is not what did it. A few days later, Brent and Juror 5 were cleared of any misconduct, basically saying it was all misinterpreted and stricter measures were enforced to keep the witnesses and jurors separate. Wild that they would be allowed to interact in the first place.
Like, that is crazy. Shouldn't the jurors have to get there before everyone, leave after everyone? Like, there should be no chance for that.
Actually crazy to me. The trial was not delayed or even derailed at all from this. It didn't cause any type of anything. No one gave a fuck.
Oh, fuck that. If I were on either side.
Yeah, I would be like, no. That afternoon, the courtroom heard from Laci's OBGYN, who testified that Laci's February 10th due date was accurate because a big point...
birthday.
Is it?
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Because a big point of the trial is about how Connor was born, if he was born alive, if he was born before Laci was killed, things like that.
Yeah.
However, Laci's medical record had her at 32 weeks at her December 23rd appointment. I believe the way that timeline works out makes the due date of the 10th a week off, technically, which that is not precise anyway.
No, because they go by your cycle.
Yeah.
Which...
Who the fuck
Brody
knows?
was born 3 weeks early, totally healthy.
Yeah.
And I'm certain they were just off.
Yeah. On day 11, the jurors heard from Laci's yoga instructor, who said that Laci had gotten hurt on December 20th and needed help to her car. And on her way to the car, Laci had told her, the dog probably thinks I'm mad at him because I never walk him anymore. Grouse obviously did not like that. And he said that she had not told that to police, so it needs to be stricken from the record. She's like, she had never brought this up. She can't bring this up now. She then denied telling police that Laci's only form of exercise was walking the dog, and she also denied telling police that Scott was excited for the baby, even though police recorded that in her statement the first time.
Now you sound unreliable.
Yeah.
Like you're not doing any favors.
No.
I feel like people don't get that, though. Like, I feel like...
You can't just take things back.
Yeah. Or say something new that you haven't said before.
No,
like
you can't just
You're not up there just to say what you feel now. Like, you have to, it just doesn't work like that.
Next, Laci's 3 best friends took the stand. They all expressed doubt that Laci would have walked Mackenzie that morning because she was so fatigued. They said there weren't any problems in the Peterson marriage. However, they did grow increasingly suspicious of Scott as time went on. Like I said last episode. They said they thought it was odd that Scott was vacuuming around the washer and dryer on Christmas morning. It is later testified that there's no type of evidence in the vacuum, like he wasn't vacuuming anything up. It was just weird that he was doing it. It wasn't until day 13 that Detective Brocchini took the stand. This man hates Scott Peterson. Again, he went over the timeline of December 24th. I'm sure the jury wants to die. They want to quit.
They're like, I could actually tell you the whole timeline.
Yeah, no need. Got it. Then, his taped interview with Scott that day was played. This is the first time the jurors were able to hear Scott in conversation. They have not gotten to hear him yet. And it proved to be memorable for them as it became the first thing to come up when they started deliberation. At the time, it didn't seem overly significant, but it served as sort of a baseline for them to see all of Scott's inconsistencies. Like the lures that he used were actually still in the packaging, things like that. He then went into his first meeting with Amber Fry and admitted that he was the one who reviewed the tapes and didn't think Martha Stewart discussed meringues on December 24th. So he was the one who actually watched it.
Of course, he was immediately like, "Nah, Scott, you fucking liar."
Exactly.
Everyone's like, well, we know you hate him, so that makes sense.
The next day, day 14, I believe, Juror 5 was dismissed from the jury.
Okay.
He admitted to listening to his friends discuss him and Brent's interaction, and that had led to his dismissal. So not only you're not allowed to interact with them, you're not allowed to hear anything about it at all.
I can't believe they're not sequestered.
I also can't believe that. This is wild to me.
That makes no sense. This is such a publicized case.
Yeah, you can't avoid it.
How? Yeah, that was stupid on their part.
Justin Faulkner, who was juror number 5, said he was a distraction to the jury and agreed with the judge's decision to dismiss him. He then, however, went to a long tirade about how the prosecution was boring and Scott was definitely innocent. And Amber...
I am glad he didn't stay on.
And Amber really meant nothing in regards to the case because she was just this little side thing and said that pregnant women were crazy and one day they were exhausted and the next day they were running a marathon.
How did he get on the jury in the first place?
I don't fucking know. Juror 5's alternate was both a doctor and a lawyer, which is unusual for someone with that type of expertise to be a juror on a case.
Who went to medical and law school?
I don't fucking know. More power to you.
Yeah.
Because essentially, when analyzing everything, his expertise could pull away essentially new evidence that, like, you would never know.
No one would just think.
No. So that's very weird to me. Gagaros declared for a mistrial because of all the jury chaos. He was like, let's just throw it out there. Mistrial. Like, what is this bullshit? Saying that the media was ruining everything.
It was one juror.
Yeah, that was obviously denied, but good try, I guess. Gagaros then went back to cross-examining Brocchini, and this was not a casual conversation. Gagaros is flashy anyway, and Brocchini hated Scott.
Yeah, they obviously hate each other.
Yeah. Gagaros took this opportunity again to show jurors that Brocchini was immediately taking notes that Scott's story was odd, and made Brocchini admit again that he missed a giant piece of evidence with the Martha Stewart show.
Oh, for fuck's sake. If I were in that jury and I heard the word fucking meringues one more time,
I'd lose my fucking mind. He then gets Brocchini to admit the decision to go fishing was a day of decision for Scott. So he's saying, like, Scott had admitted that wasn't his concrete plan. He decided that day. He then got Brocchini to admit that he also had no idea Brent went fishing that day at the exact same time because they never bothered looking into it. Like, look at what you missed. Someone also close to Laci did the exact same thing and you didn't even know. Gagaros brought up that Brocchini noted that a pair of white shoes were missing that should have been at the scene, when in reality, Modesto PD had photographs of the shoes at the scene. So he's marking all these things missing, and they're not missing. They're there.
It's there. Do your homework, bud.
He can't. Gagaros also grilled him about an interview with Peggy O'Donnell that was taken out of Brocchini's report. Peggy was the woman who said for sure Laci was at Scott's warehouse on December 20th or December 23rd because Laci had asked to use her bathroom. This was important to Gagaros because, one, the boat was at the warehouse. There was an argument that Laci did not know about the boat. This would prove more than likely Laci knew about the boat. She would have seen it. And two, the visit to Scott's warehouse could account for the hair on the pliers.
The DNA, yeah.
Brocchini said that he did not do the interview, so he simply took it out of his records, but it still existed everywhere and still maintained that the warehouse was so jam-packed he truly doesn't believe Laci was ever in there. So that whole report about someone for sure seeing Laci at the warehouse, he took it out of his report, was what that was. He's like, why the fuck did you take this out of your report?
Yeah.
His argument is, I didn't do the interview, so I can take it out. You could have found it somewhere else if you really wanted to find it. Which is whatever. So weird.
But like, why?
Yeah, but why
For what
did
reason?
you?
It doesn't hurt anything. Well, kind of, I guess, because
yeah,
you don't want that hole in there, like her DNA.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess you're right. Oh, God.
A mess.
Just
this case is a mess.
Like, you guys did not keep this neat and tidy and simple at all.
No. Modesto PD, again, ignored the gag order, and one of the officers had commented on the Peggy stuff and said that the interview was never deleted. It was still on the interviewing officer's report. The judge was real pissed about that.
You're supposed to say no comment.
Yeah, you cannot talk about it.
You guys don't know. You guys aren't getting this.
No, not computing. Gregaros then pressed Brocchini again, this time about Kim McGregor and the role she played in the burglary of Scott's home. Gregaros asked for her alibi for the 23rd, 24th, to which Brocchini said McGregor was visiting her ex-boyfriend and his two roommates. The two roommates happened to be Hawaiian. If you recall, I don't know, the burglary stuff got so messy, I don't know what I took out and left in. But if you recall, in the Medina burglary across the street from the Peterson house that happened right around the time Laci went missing, they were looking for 3 dark but not African-American men.
Oh.
Which could be Hawaiian. Brocchini admitted he never looked into McGregor's ex-boyfriend and his two roommates. Never. They never even looked at it.
Okay.
Before Gregaros wrapped up his cross-examination of Brocchini, he grilled him for not following up on the couple leads they had that could have placed Laci at the park walking Mackenzie. 2 people had come forward claiming to have seen a pregnant woman walking a dog in the park where Laci usually walks Mackenzie around the time Laci should have been there, given the loose timeline. They never followed up on that. After 3 days, Gregaros finally passed the witness and Brocchini was redirected to D'Estasio, where, again, Brocchini messed up. The conversation with Epsiode came up. He was talking about the conversation, except he said that Epsiode said Scott said he would use duct tape. The problem is Epsiode never said that.
Oh, my God.
So Scott's lawyer just laid into him. Like, first of all, he never said that. So now you're just making shit up that fits your narrative better. Brocchini said that he just hadn't refreshed his memory of the conversation before the trial and admitted that he should have done so. Either way, it looks real bad for the prosecution again. After concluding his testimony here, Brocchini laid pretty low for the rest of the trial. He just didn't come out looking that great and was basically being accused of embellishing stuff so he could be seen as the one who solved the case. He was essentially the villain of this case. Like, every case has that person who fucking sucks. This was him now. Detectives got someone to study what's called microaggressions. Basically just someone to study the way Scott answered some things. The man made it clear that Scott was pretty confident Laci wasn't coming back. He had 2 obvious microaggressions, which were when he asked if it was Laci's blood in the truck, and weirdly, when he was asked about the fact that on the day Laci went missing that the curtains were closed when normally Laci would have them open, he lit up during those 2 things. He also noticed that on more than one occasion, Scott referred to Laci in the past tense, which is a dead giveaway. He claims he could also tell Scott was especially nervous about the questions regarding the salt water on his clothes, and he was lying about Laci knowing Amber, which is just a way that you can tell. If you study people enough, you can tell. I think about that every time. That's why I can't lie, because I'm like, I'm doing weird shit.
I think I'm a good liar.
Not.
I'm just joking. I don't know the last time I had to lie about something, so I'm not sure.
I lied to my eye doctor about sunglasses and immediately had to confess.
Yeah.
Why did I do that?
I was trying to think of a time I did that. I have.
I got my eyes dilated and they asked, can we dilate your eyes? Do you have sunglasses? And I was like, yeah. I did not. I didn't have a purse.
What's wrong?
I just brought my keys. I'm like, yeah. I don't know why. I don't know why I did that. I don't know why.
But also sometimes you answer before you fully register the question, or it's like when you hear something but you say what?
Yeah.
But you had heard them. Yeah. I think it's like that. So you didn't lie on purpose.
Okay, thank you. I feel a lot better about that. He did say that he could tell when Scott was also telling the truth, and Scott was telling the truth when he was talking about the scrapes on his hand. which, obviously, who the fuck knows? My hands are, again, actively bleeding.
Dude, I literally, earlier, I got it from doing my makeup, and there was blood covering both my legs. I had, like, unknowingly scratched a scab, and I was bleeding everywhere. I'm like, I don't know.
Also, a point that stuck with the jury were the channels and internet searches Scott carried out. Before Laci went missing, he was Googling the currents, the depths of the San Francisco Bay and Brooks Island. Now, Brooks Island is that little island he was talking about in his interviews that was full of trash and said no landing. He's Googling these very specific places right before Laci goes missing. And he claims fishing was a day of decision. So it's not like he was looking it up because he was planning to go there. Which, whatever. On his personal computers, his pornography sites were bookmarked, which is just a weird fucking thing.
I mean, is it that weird?
In 2003.
2003, you didn't have incognito mode, so that is weird.
Really putting them at the top of your fucking...
Anyone could come click on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. That is weird.
The sites were such things like bondage and bestiality, with some titles such as Raping the Teacher and The Wife Confesses. If you recall, Laci was a substitute teacher. Just very weird fucking
that
things.
That is not in good taste. Bestiality will never be okay.
Too far.
Eyes.
Bondage, whatever.
Bondage.
That's fine.
Sometimes I like to watch that.
Who are we to judge?
Yeah. Don't yuck someone's yum.
Never. Then, on day 34, Amber Frey took the stand, and things started to look a little different.
Oh, boy.
She showed an entirely different Scott than the jury had seen yet. And really, everyone was very receptive to her. Like, instead of coming off as a homewrecker, which she easily could have, she came off immediately as extremely credible. She's like a young, naive woman who really did seem to love Scott, who was just fucked way over. Amber went over everything I told you in part 2 in court, which was a lot.
Yeah.
How Scott had lost his wife, how he didn't want children, how he thought in January he would be free to expand the relationship, calling her from Laci's search party, saying he was in Paris.
Yeah. Yeah.
Huge.
Just
that
traveling.
lie gets me every fucking time.
How fucked up are you? Like,
if the jury was on the fence, that is what's pushing them over. Like,
seriously,
Laci's memorial or search party.
If you're that good of a liar, something's wrong.
I mean, Scott was looking pretty good before this happened. If you can't tell from what I just told you, he sounded pretty great. This blew everything up.
Well, all they were doing at that point, like, not all they were doing, but just pointing out the shoddy fucking police work.
Right. It really did not sit well with the jurors. Several of them came out and said this repulsed them, that Scott was actively romancing the woman he was having an affair with while Laci was actively missing. Like, that's disgusting.
Yeah.
Before Amber took the stand, however, the two people I mentioned in part 2, Sean Sibley, who ended up introducing Amber and Scott, and Eric Olson took the stand to describe how Scott was acting that night. Eric said Scott was asking inappropriate questions, like Sean's favorite sex positions, and Eric ended up leaving. He was so uncomfortable. He's like, you're both married. Like, she's engaged, you're married. This is very weird.
Yeah.
Sean described him as a horny bastard and had told her he lost his soulmate. She's not holding back.
That's hilarious. I love that that's, like, in transcript.
So I'm going to type that. And he had told her he had lost his soulmate and felt like he was going to be alone forever. August 10th, 2004, Amber took the stand, and her testimony was brief, but there was a lot of time spent playing the huge amount of phone calls between them so the jury could hear for themselves, because his phone was wiretapped, and Amber was taping their calls before it was wiretapped. Because Amber really talked to him for a long time after he lost everyone else, so he ends up saying a lot of things to her just because he had no one else to talk to. Again, it's important to remember Scott never confesses to anything. Like, he's telling her things, he's never confessing to anything. So while a lot of this looks incriminating to the jury, there isn't even an indication of a confession in any of these tapes.
Right.
On August 23rd, 2004, after a few delays in the trial, Amber was called for cross-examination. When the judge told Garros he was free to cross-examine Amber, he said, "No further questions, Your Honor."
Oh.
And the courtroom audibly gasped.
That is a shock.
To which he said, "Just kidding."
You're fucking kidding me.
No, he did this
What a fucking douche. Are you joking?
In a
I would have
courtroom.
kicked him out immediately. Oh my God.
I thought the same thing. No further. When I read that, I was like, he's not going to cross-examine Amber Fry. In the courtroom, he pulls a JK.
Ew.
The worst.
I wish this was on court TV because I want to see it. No further questions. Everyone's like, he's like, just kidding, guys.
He was like, I'm going to get him good. Don't you hate it? Don't you hate it?
I hate it so much. It makes me, ugh. This is a murder trial, you fucking idiot. You thought that was a good time for a joke?
Yep, he did.
Like, questionably one of the most important witnesses of this case.
Yeah. He was sitting that whole time like,
I got a good one up my sleeve. Hey, wait,
what if the judge was like, no, you already said no further questions?
Literally, I wish he fucking would have. I would have.
So, yeah, I thought that was
or
ridiculous.
I would have, like, fucking held him in contempt of court. Like, fuck you.
Put him in a chokehold. A full Nelson.
Bastard. Ugh.
So, Gagaros does cross-examine Amber. He begins questioning Amber on why she never questioned Son Sibley and wanting to hook her up with a guy who was being a horny bastard. He's like, if she thought he was this terrible person, why did you never question the fact that she was introducing you to him?
She's fucking... Just because I don't want someone doesn't mean my friend's not going to want him.
Right. Amber said she didn't recall if Sean had told her any of that, but did say the conversation the two had about him looking for his soulmate stuck out more to Sean than the other playful stuff, so she felt comfortable giving him Amber's information. He also grilled Amber on how much they drank on their first date, which is like, come on.
Shut up.
I hate him. And how Scott immediately was telling how much he would be away in the next couple months, which the defense used to try and paint a picture of how much more Amber was interested in this relationship than Scott was. So he's not saying, like, Scott was saying all these things to make an excuse for when he was going to be, like, murdering his wife. He's doing it because he doesn't want to be with you. Like, he's giving excuses to not see you. And you're very naive. You loved him and he didn't love you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Just tearing her up for being stupid.
He's basically using this entire cross-examination to prove Scott never actually did profess his love for Amber, although he did a lot alluding to it. And he sort of successfully convinced people that Amber was just sort of gullible and really wanted a husband and a father for her daughter. And Scott was maybe just using her. He definitely wasn't in love with her enough to kill his wife and son for her.
That is so mean.
It is mean. Leave her alone. She's been through enough.
Seriously.
However, the prosecution was able to prove through the wiretaps that Scott was the one placing the majority of the phone calls to Amber, not the other way around. So, like, listen, he's the one calling her all the fucking time. The wiretaps came up some more when they had the man who placed the wiretaps on the stand. It was able to prove to jurors that Scott was lying constantly about where he was calling other people from, which is like another thing you don't think of. Like, why are you lying about the weirdest shit? It allowed the jurors to hear how Scott talked to people and how Scott reacted to certain voicemails, because it apparently tapes you when you listen to voicemails. Like, it's not taping your calls, it's like taping you on your phone.
Oh.
For example, they were able to hear on a voicemail that Sharon left him when she told him the scans of the bay did not turn up a body. The scan only showed an anchor. Scott let out a low whistle, which to me sounds like a sound you make when you're relieved. Exactly. Like, was he relieved that he thought Laci was still alive, or was he relieved because he had thought that maybe they found Laci's body? The prosecution, this part is weird. The prosecution also had a 38-week pregnant woman who worked for the DA and was close to the size Laci would have been, get into a toolbox of the exact same dimensions in Scott's truck bed and then lay on the floor of a game fisher boat to prove to the defense that Scott actually could conceal Laci's body without detection. Just weird.
Sucks to be her.
It does.
Like, that's weird. Because
the defense is also arguing there's no way Scott could have gotten rid of Laci without people noticing in the fucking morning. They're like, well, actually you can. Mm-hmm. She fits in all these fucking places. However, that woman, when on the stand, did testify that she did not actually fit into the boat unless she bent her legs a certain way, which
I mean, if it's a dead body, he can contort it how he wants, really.
There were several other low-profile witnesses on the stand over the next couple of days, and then Dr. Brian Peterson, again, the man who did the autopsy, who was back on the stand, and basically reiterated that Connor was not born through a normal vaginal or C-section birth, and he believed Connor to be in utero when Laci died and was dumped into the bay, and only after Laci's body started to decay, Connor was born via a coffin birth. Dr. Peterson could not determine Laci's cause of death. Which is, again, crazy that they're doing this.
Yeah.
Garagos cross-examined him and harped on the fact that Dr. Peterson could not rule out the possibility that Connor had taken a breath. This is like a huge thing. Like, did Connor take at least one breath? He can't rule out that he did not do that. On day 54, Detective Grogan took the stand, and Detective Grogan had been studying Geragos' tactics so he wouldn't turn into, like, Brocchini. Yeah. He's like, I'm actually going to see what the fuck this is about. Which would prove to work out because he laid out in chronological order a stunning timeline of circumstantial evidence that did not paint Scott in the best light. One of the highlights being the list he made with Laci's family about the 41 reasons why he thought Laci's body would be in the bay. This is Grogan and Laci's family, not Scott and Laci's family. Which had points like the fact that Scott was there, returned there 3 times, whistled in relief when the sonar didn't turn up on the radar, the cement debris in the warehouse, the homemade anchors, the dog tracing a scent to the marina, the fact that Scott was loading up the umbrellas, which were the same height as Laci, into his truck, maybe to have an alibi if anyone saw him loading her, the fact that he was, like, also loading. He was like, it was an umbrella. I loaded multiple of those.
Yeah.
The fact that Scott told everyone who'd be golfing that morning and did not switch his alibi until someone for sure saw him, all those things he's bringing up. Geragos also got Grogan to admit that Laci was looking for a new house and a new car because, quote, the Land Rover was a piece of shit, Laci said, which made the fact that Scott sold her car not that crazy.
Right.
Whatever. I still think it's not great, but whatever. She didn't even like it. They're like, who cares? Laci was looking into buying new houses in the $400,000 to $600,000 range. When Connor was old enough to go to school, they had plans to move to St. Louis Obispo and buy an olive farm, which never occurred to me as a thing.
I didn't know either.
Whatever.
Grogan, I don't even know how olives grew.
Me either. I still can't picture it in my brain.
I assume like a vine, because it's like a grape.
Oh, that's true. I have no idea. Grogan argues that while the murder may not have been financially...
No, an olive tree. An olive branch.
Oh, yeah.
It's got to be a tree.
Okay. We worked that out there. Grogan argues that while the murder may not have been financially motivated, Scott could have been trying to get out of Laci's plan to increase their standard of living. Because if you remember, they had no money.
Yeah. And he's like, she wants more and I can't
We don't have
that.
it. Yeah. Grogan had also testified that Ann Bird had told him that she and Scott had a conversation about Amber and how Laci found out about his mistress, but they agreed not to tell their parents. Grogan was a huge win for the prosecution. He did not falter or misstep one time, and it gave the jurors a much better picture into the prosecution's argument. He had managed to weave actual facts into a huge circumstantial case, which is wild.
Yeah.
Circumstantial evidence should not be a deciding factor. Well, it shouldn't lead to what it led to. It's just wild.
Yeah.
Circumstantial evidence freaks me out.
It's crazy.
After 19 weeks and 175 witnesses, the prosecution rested their case. So then the defense gets a chance to present their case, which is where Gregaro's case just sort of falls apart. He claimed to be able to bring in all these witnesses who claimed to have seen Laci walking Mackenzie. He had actually produced none of those people. He found none of those people, brought none of them to testify. Their big expert was undermined when he brought forward the shocking claim that Connor survived at least 5 days after Laci went missing, and maybe even into January. He had actually deduced that information on guessing Laci's gestational age by how she acted at a friend's baby shower.
Oh, well, that is not...
Old white men.
There is no fucking way.
She did not mention being pregnant at her friend Renee's baby shower on June 8th, so she must have tested the next day. That was her earliest detection, making her conception date later than the state had guessed. They tore him apart for this, which would I.
Oh, what the fuck?
What kind of fucking witch math are you doing?
Guess and check here, buddy.
Yeah. Based on this baby shower. Whatever. The defense had 13 witnesses. The prosecution had 175.
Jesus.
And they all produced basically nothing. Some secondhand police accounts, so like no direct accounts of anything. Nobody testified that they saw Laci after the morning of December 24th. A weird little thing. Jackie Peterson, Scott's mom, testified on April 8th about a large sum of money she had deposited in Scott's account, like $10,000. She claimed she had taken money out of his account to buy his brother a truck because she just forgot her account number. So she took it from Scott's because apparently she knows that account number. And that was just her paying Scott back with interest, which just sounds like a full-on lie.
It doesn't make any sense.
None at all.
You don't know your husband's account number?
No, not a one. So Gregaros comes out swinging, gives a great opening statement, tears apart the prosecution's witness, and then just fumbles hardcore. So another thing, the defense doesn't actually have to do anything. Mm-hmm. The burden of proof is on the prosecution.
Right. They have to prove he did this.
Yeah, because
how?
They're the one alleging things. They have to prove it. The defense is not required to answer those claims. When the prosecution is done, the defense can be like, we're done then. Like, yeah. I'm not saying anything else about it. And the jury can base their decision on the prosecution alone to see if the charges have been proven beyond a reasonable doubt. He should have done that. Mm-hmm. He should have done that. This could have been much fucking different.
Oh, boy.
The prosecution's case was so weak. All their witnesses basically recanted or contradicted their statements under cross-examination on the stand. Then he comes out and he has so little that it makes Scott look worse. It's making Scott look worse. The only thing the defense was able to prove, which was like, besides the Martha Stewart thing, it's very Martha Stewart-esque, has nothing to do with anything.
Yeah.
But when they went through a walkthrough of Scott's house, a phone book was open to a defense lawyer, a murder lawyer, something like a very specific type of lawyer. It was proven when they looked in the phone book that lawyer had actually paid for like very heavy paper. That way, if the phone book fell open, it would automatically open to that. So that was just like, they're finding these things, but it doesn't matter at this point.
Yeah.
As cool as it is, doesn't matter. D'Estasio, who opened up very slow, was a known good closer. So when he gave his closing remarks, people were impressed. Even though, like we've said a million times, this is a case of circumstantial evidence. They proved nothing. In his closing statement, he said that this case was really not a mystery. Scott went fishing, and then Laci and Connor washed ashore. He said that Scott strangled Laci on December 23rd or 24th, and said that he doesn't need to prove that. That leaves very little evidence, which you kind of do, but whatever. Then basically just talked about his double life and how he had no idea the case would attract this attention. And Scott basically thought he would just be free to live his new life. He had no idea this would blow up like this.
True.
He ended it by saying he didn't want to be tied to Connor forever. He didn't want to be tied to Laci forever, so he killed them. Garagos closed kind of weak. He basically just spent the whole time reiterating the facts that within 1 hour, the police had honed in to Scott so hard, and they had just heard hours and hours of testimony talking about how awful Scott was as a person, but this is a murder case, and you need to put those feelings aside to see if there's truly enough evidence to convict this man of murder. Again, since the prosecution has a burden of proof, they're allowed to make a last statement. So D'Estasio says, listen, one of two things happened. Scott murdered them or someone framed him, and if someone kidnapped Laci and was keeping her, they would have had to go dump Laci in the marina after it was announced that Scott was fishing there, which was like 3 days. So they would have had to dump her body full of cops.
Yeah.
If that's where she was found there. Right. They would have had to do that. That did not happen. There's no way. The jury started deliberating that afternoon at a sequestered hotel. Finally sequestered.
Yeah, what the fuck? What have they been doing this whole time?
I don't understand. They had just heard 74 days of testimony. After 26 hours, the jurors asked the judge to actually see Scott's boat, which the judge allowed. And the judge even allowed them to get inside of it, where they were seen rocking back and forth, which the judge had to immediately stop them. Garagos was pissed. He said the case immediately needed to be reopened so he could play his own video demonstrations of him attempting to throw a body overboard. Because I'm sure that's what they were doing.
Right.
Seeing how easily they were able to actually throw a body or how stable the boat was when rocked before it flipped. Garagos said that if he wouldn't reopen the case for this, he would settle for a mistrial. He's like, listen, if you won't reopen it, do a mistrial. I'll settle for that.
This man is so fucking annoying.
He is. The judge denied both of those things, obviously, and allegedly the video was just awful. It was a man attempting to throw something off a boat, but the man was wearing weights to simulate Scott's actual weight. And when the man tried to stand up and throw the body overboard, he immediately fell off the boat, and the weight started to drag him down. So the next shot is the cameraman dropping the camera because
oh my god, to go save his life.
Just a whole mess.
Oh my god,
he should be very glad
they were trying to be like so like critical, like really try to like play this out how it would have happened. Just almost killed himself on accident. Yeah. Oh my god, should be glad
they didn't let them show that because that wouldn't have fucking helped. Just hours after the jury viewed the boat, Garagos bought an extremely similar boat and put it in a parking lot that he purchased. He purchased a parking lot to do this so that no one could tell him he couldn't. He put a dummy.
For why?
He put a dummy and coveralls in the boat with anchors tied to its limb, to which he apparently tried to do to help Scott and show people how ridiculous the evidence was, but it very obviously backfired. It became a makeshift memorial for Connor and Laci. I don't know why he thought that would help him. This man's a moron. He's stupid.
Oh, God.
After 32 hours, juror number 7 was replaced. It was alleged she had Googled something about the case. You're not allowed
What
to
the
do.
fuck? Come on. You've made it this far and you think that's okay?
Then a few days later, Juror 5 was dismissed. This was the doctor lawyer. He had asked to be dismissed, allegedly because he refused to make a decision without reviewing every single piece of evidence, which is fair. You're allowed to do that.
Yeah.
Apparently the other jurors did not want to do that.
Like, absolutely not. We know what we want to do, and I'm not doing that.
If I hear the word meringue, if I hear the timeline of December 24th one more motherfucking time.
Can't do it.
Can't do it. It was also speculated that he said he wasn't sure if he could make a decision without the pressure of the public weighing on him, which leads me to believe he probably was not going to convict Scott.
Mm-hmm.
He was very worried about how that was going to come across.
If he's a doctor and a lawyer, yeah, that could really fuck with your reputation.
After 7 hours and 14 minutes with this third jury, they reached a verdict.
Damn. That is quick.
Not a good sign. You want them to be there for as long as possible, showing that they're actually thinking about it. Listen, they're not thinking about shit. They filed into the courtroom. Allegedly, one juror gave Sharon Roca a slight nod, which I don't think you're allowed to do.
No.
The jury found Scott guilty of first-degree murder in the murder of Laci and guilty of second-degree murder in the murder of Connor. The second-degree murder puzzled people. First-degree means he planned it, so not only was the jury convinced Scott murdered Laci, they were actually convinced he had planned to murder Laci. As for Connor, the jurors believed Laci was the intended target, and while Scott must have known what murdering Laci meant for Connor, they don't believe he had planned to kill Connor. So it's not, I mean,
Whatever.
It's picking hairs.
Yeah.
Splitting hairs, whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I feel like there's very, like, particular wordage.
Yeah.
So, like,
he wanted to kill Laci. He knew what it would do to Connor.
But he didn't go out of his way to kill Connor.
Right.
He didn't go out of his way to save him and not kill him.
No. Juror number 7, who was the new juror, which comes up later. Not later. This is almost over, I swear. Should have been 4 parts, but whatever. So juror number 7, Rachel Nice, said Scott thought he could fool them, but the evidence basically spoke for itself. The comforter was just thrown on the bed. And Scott said that's the way Laci left it. Juror number 7 said that knowing what she knows about Laci, that would not be how she left the bed. Also, they paid attention to the fact that when Scott described what she was wearing was not exactly what she was wearing when she was found. To her, the biggest thing was that Scott ordered those porn channels on his cable. That was clue to them that he knew Laci wasn't coming back. Like, if you really thought your wife was coming back, would you be ordering this weird shit on her cable in her name?
No.
Juror number 1, Greg Portalis, and 2 other jurors said they based their verdict on hundreds of small puzzle pieces of circumstantial evidence that came out during the trial, from the location of Laci Peterson's body to the myriad of lies her husband told after her disappearance. Laci's side was sobbing. The only person crying on Scott's side was a legal assistant who had been working on the case. Not a single other person. Garagos and Scott's father were not even there. His lawyer wasn't even there.
What?
Garagos apparently was working on another case in LA and more in Deluki that he might not be back in time. But I mean, I'm sure his other case didn't require him to be there when he had such a crucial case wrapping up. I'm sure he could have been like, we're going to wait to start this.
Yeah.
That was weird. Lee was with other family members in San Diego for whatever reason. Maybe he couldn't handle it. I don't
want
know.
to be there.
They probably knew what was coming.
Yeah. Can you imagine, like, the hysteria outside of the courtroom? Like, you don't want to walk out into that.
You can look it up.
Oh.
They are elated. The recommended sentencing for first-degree murder in California is death or life without parole. The penalty phase was set to begin on November 30th, 2004. Garagos did not make Scott look good during the trial, which he thought didn't matter because there wasn't enough evidence to convict him of murder.
Well,
He's like, I'll just talk Scott down. I'll admit to them. Horrible person. But he didn't commit murder. Well, they actually did think he's a murderer, and now Scott's lawyer had spent 70 days telling them that they were right to think he was awful. Now he has to somehow convince them to spare Scott's life. He's like, he's actually a great person that deserves to live. He really made a terrible decision. Garagos did basically the only play left he had. He asked for a new jury for the penalty phase or move the penalty phase out of Redwood and go to a separate location because there's no way he will get a fair penalty when there are people literally cheering in the streets about his guilty verdict. Mm-hmm. The judge was like, no. The location at this point is not going to matter.
It doesn't matter.
It's everywhere. And a new jury would need the opportunity to hear 74 days worth of testimony and evidence. Like, this is where we're at. You're getting what you're getting. Unlike the trial, they did allow cameras into the courtroom for the sentencing. Oh. So that's out there. The prosecution called Laci's murder a ripple effect, saying that when she was murdered, it affected a lot of people's lives. They then had Laci's family on the witness stand to just say what kind of person Laci was and recall what it was like when she went missing. Her brother said that his children would never have cousins now, as Laci was his only full sibling.
That's so sad.
This part is actually really sad. Her sister talked about how Laci was the one to make sure they all got together for holidays, and after Laci's grandma died, Laci really took over that role to make sure the holidays were special. Her mom obviously gave an insanely touching and sad testimony. She talked about Laci's background, basically everything I said in part 1 about what a great person he was. She then said that she didn't sleep for weeks in case Laci was going to call and needed help. And the day they found Laci and Connor, she knew when she heard footsteps coming up to her door, so she didn't answer it because she didn't want to hear it. And when they came to the back door, she knew she had to answer it. When the police said it would take some time to identify, Sharon was a little confused and asked why. They just couldn't use her dental records. And the police had to tell Sharon that the head was missing.
Oh my God.
And she said she just collapsed. She did not consider the state Laci would be in when she would be found, which is true. You're not thinking it. You're just thinking they're going to find her body, like as you remember it. No. Then she stared right at Scott and said, "You knew Laci had motion sickness. You knew Laci got seasick, and you still dumped her there. You knew she would be sick for all of eternity, and you still did that to her." Because she hated the water. She's like, you put her in the water forever. Like, you did this to her, and you knew it. She said she sat alone with the casket for some moments and just cried because she knew Laci didn't have any arms to hold Connor. Like, she's just sobbing at this point.
Oh my God. That is terrible.
Yeah, like she's not holding her baby because she can't, because we never found her arms. She said she remembers the first time it really sunk in that Laci was gone. She was sitting in the backyard and the phone rang, and her first thought was like, oh, I bet it's Laci. I haven't heard from her in a while. She'd be calling to check up. And she's like, oh, it's never going to be Laci on the phone now.
Oh my God.
When the day adjourned, the jurors said that they were mostly thinking of the autopsy photos and the fact that Laci was in her coffin with no arms to hold her baby.
Oh my God, and no fucking head. Like
nothing. They didn't find like anything else of her. The next day, Pat Harris, not Gregaros, so his co-counsel, addressed the jury on how they don't actually know Scott and they're going to go through his background, as to who he is, and show that he has a life worth saving. Good fucking luck after that. Mm-hmm. They got statements from his family. All of them said they were not sure if Scott's parents would make it as Scott got the death penalty. And Scott's dad was on the stand saying, "We already lost someone we love. We don't want to lose another." Which is true. Laci was their family. They didn't have anything to do with her disappearing. Because this case is so separated at this point, I forget that this was a family unit at one point. The one person who didn't testify was Ann Bird, his half-sister, who was totally on his side at first, letting him stay at her house, all of that. She had completely switched. She said she was more than prepared to testify for the prosecution if they asked. However, she was considered too high of a risk, and she was never called to testify anyway. More family, friends, and colleagues testified for Scott, all of them saying they couldn't imagine Scott murdering Laci. It's not at all the Scott that they've known forever. Which we don't know Scott anyway, so he's a liar. On the 8th day, the lawyers had their last chance to appeal to the jury. The prosecution started out with the obvious. All his witnesses thought they knew him, but they clearly did not. Scott was a master liar and manipulator. He said Laci was an anchor around his neck, so he put an anchor around hers.
Oh my God.
They're going for it.
Yeah, that wording, man.
Yeah. The defense was up next, and really, Geragos seemed to be trying to throw himself under the bus. He said he has nightmares about this case and how he let his client down, and he couldn't convince the jury of his innocence. He said he didn't actually prepare a penalty phase because he was working on another case. Like, it almost seems like he's trying to admit ineffective counsel to get Scott another chance. He then said there's just no reason for another person to die. As we know, the jury was not convinced. After 8 hours and 23 minutes on December 13th, 2004, the jury came back unanimous for the death penalty. Wow. On circumstantial evidence.
That's crazy.
Scott remained unmoved while Sharon Rocha sobbed. For what reason, I'm not sure. Like, she was relieved or she's just overwhelmed.
Yeah.
Like, they're murdering her son-in-law.
Right.
Several people saw Laci's brother look over to Scott's dad and mouth the words, "I'm sorry," to which Lee mouthed back, "Fuck you."
Oh my God.
Hate each other. Then 3 of the jurors agreed to speak to the press, where they said exactly what I expected them to, that Sharon Rocha's testimony at the penalty phase was the most moving and convincing for them. The part about having no arms and being in water for all of eternity when he knew that she hated it. On March 16th, 2005, Judge Luecke accepted the jury's recommendation and sentenced Scott Peterson to death. Because he doesn't have to. You can go rogue. He's not going to do that. Peterson arrived at San Quentin State Prison in the early morning hours of Wednesday, March 17th, 2005. He was reported to not have slept the night before, being too jazzed to sleep.
What a terrible word.
They did clarify, like, he definitely wasn't excited. He was, like, visibly nervous. I don't know why he used the word jazzed. Yeah, he could have used, like, any other. On December 21st, 2005, a judge ruled that proceeds from a $250,000 life insurance policy Peterson took out on Laci would go to Laci's mother, which was reaffirmed by the 5th District Court of Appeals on October... Oh, that's when it was. Whatever. Okay. It was reaffirmed that day, so they must have appealed it. It was confirmed. Mm-hmm. Peterson's automatic appeal was filed in the Supreme Court of California on July 5th, 2012. There were subsequent appeals over the years. California stopped executing prisoners in 2006 because of legal challenges over the 3-drug method it was using. Oh. It faced more challenges as it tried to come up with a new drug protocol, and Governor Gavin Newsom put in place a moratorium in the death penalty in March of 2019, suspending all executions while he's governor. So there will be no executions when he's governor. Which is wild that you can do that.
Yeah. Like, I'm here. I don't like it. Let's not do this right now.
I didn't know that was an option. Peterson's sister-in-law, Janie Peterson, welcomed Newsom's decision, but noted that his case was likely to be unaffected by it and did not believe Peterson would exhaust all of his legal challenges by January 2027, when Newsom would be leaving office, assuming he's reelected this year. Mm-hmm. They're like, Scott wouldn't be executed in that amount of time. Remember, it takes forever.
Yeah.
In November of 2015, the defense filed a habeas corpus petition claiming that a juror lied on her jury application. This is actually kind of wild. Oh, and that there was evidence that the neighbors saw Laci alive after Scott left home. So they're still on this. Mm-hmm. On August 10th, 2017, the state attorney general responded to the appeal by filing a 150-page document contesting the notion disputing the claims put forward in the appeal, stating that the appeal ignored overwhelming evidence that Peterson murdered Laci. It's like, you're ignoring everything else.
Just honing in on whatever you can grasp at.
Yeah. Supervising Deputy Attorney General Donna Provenzano stated that the timeline of the crime was established by the neighbor who found Peterson's golden retriever wandering in the street with its leash still attached, before the sightings of Laci and her dog. Provenzano also indicated purported sightings of Laci were legion, noting 74 reported sightings in 26 states and overseas, most of which she stated were neither viable nor corroborated. She's like, listen, everyone said they saw Laci. Okay, we're not doing this whole fucking thing again. In 2020, Scott's appeal was heard before a court. Again, they're mostly alleging jury misconduct and the fact that several jurors were turned away when they shouldn't have been. And the court said in a 7-0 decision that Scott's conviction should be upheld and that jury selection did not stop Scott from having a fair trial. Like, even if.
Yeah.
This was the outcome.
Yeah.
The Supreme Court did agree with Peterson's attorney that the trial judge had wrongly excluded potential jurors simply because they stated they were opposed to the death penalty without determining whether they could put their belief aside and follow the law. They reversed his death penalty to life without the possibility of parole. So they dismissed every juror who said they were opposed to the death penalty. They didn't ask them, like, just because you're opposed, could you still... Which I'm opposed to the death penalty. I could be swayed to lean that way if I had to. Yeah. If that's where, like, the majority was going. Yeah, they didn't do that. So they ended up reversing his death penalty in 2020. So now he's in life for prison. Peterson's appellate attorney Cliff Gardner emailed a statement. We are grateful for the California Supreme Court's unanimous recognition that if the state wishes to put someone to death, it must proceed to trial only with a fairly selected jury. Prosecutors may not rely on a jury specifically organized by the state to return a verdict of death. And while we are disappointed that such a biased jury selection process results in a reversal of only the death sentence, we look forward to the court's review of the new forensic and eyewitness evidence of innocence presented in Mr. Peterson's separate and still pending habeas corpus petition. This is wild. This is shit I did not know. Listen, if you're still here, buckle the fuck up. People are going to listen for 2 weeks. Let's just not put out an episode next week. Let's just assume people are going to stop at 1 hour. Holy fuck. Okay. As for the habeas corpus that is being heard as of March 2022, almost entirely exists because of replacement juror number 7.
Oh my God.
She fucked everything up. In October 2020, the California Supreme Court considered Peterson's claim that one of the jurors who served at his original trial lied to the court during pretrial questioning. That juror, Rochelle Nice, juror number 7, filled out a jury questionnaire that stated she had not been a victim of a crime, had not been involved in a lawsuit, and had not participated in a trial as a party or a witness. Peterson's lawyers filed a habeas corpus proceeding, a legal procedure used to attack criminal conviction, alleging that she had lied. Peterson's camp alleged that when Nice was 4.5 months pregnant in November of 2000, she and her unborn baby were threatened, assaulted, and stalked by her boyfriend's ex-girlfriend, and she obtained a restraining order against the woman. Obvious bias.
Yes.
Obvious. Peter's lawyers alleged that Nice was biased against him as a result of the matters that she did not disclose on her juror questionnaire. The lawyers contended that Nice would have never been seated had she disclosed these true facts, and her failure to do so required the conviction to be thrown out. On October 14, 2020, the High Court directed the trial court to hold hearings on whether relief should be granted on the grounds that juror number 7 committed prejudicial misconduct by not disclosing her prior involvement with other legal proceedings. Masulu began the evidentiary hearings in February of this year. Nice testified and said she had answered the jury questionnaire truthfully, if not completely and accurately. She said she did not have any bias against Peterson before the trial. She discounted the restraining order, saying she could hardly remember obtaining it. She also testified that she did not believe she was the victim of a crime, despite getting a restraining order and being threatened. Matters were complicated when Gregory Brutalis, a fellow juror at the original trial, testified during deliberations. Nice had used the term little man to refer to the unborn child, Connor.
Oh.
Peterson's lawyer told the judge that they wanted to present testimony from Shireen Anderson, a documentarian and filmmaker who interviewed Nice for a 2017 documentary named The Murder of Laci Peterson. They planned to call Anderson to testify about a visit to Nice's house where Anderson allegedly saw a photograph with the words little man on it, alleging she was very obviously projecting her trauma onto this case.
Yes.
The last day of the hearings for those hearings was scheduled for a Friday. The judge indicated that when the hearings are concluded, the parties will file post-trial briefing and she will likely have them argue their positions before she issues a decision. The job of the judge is to determine whether, taken as a whole, these allegations are going to rise to the level where the judge feels they were substantial enough to create a lack of faith in the guilty verdict and the punishment. That was the only... I had not seen a decision or anything as of March 25th, 2022 until today.
What?
Isn't that wild? I decided...
Oh my God.
Because the next case I'm doing was also based around this area, and all the articles were from the Modesto Bee, which had a fucking paywall, which is where all these after ones were. So I didn't pay for it, and then I eventually did pay for it. I'm like, I'm going to go back and see if I missed anything. And I did. The oral arguments for that are scheduled for June 29th, this month, and it would be decided in 90 days whether or not there was actual juror misconduct. Both sides submitted their briefs, which are essentially what I already said. The defense is alleging the juror purposely lied in order to get on the jury to convict Scott because she is a victim of something similar. The prosecution is arguing she did not honestly think of those incidents of filling out the form, and that juror misconduct in that instance is just hard to prove. And they cited a similar case that happened where a juror who had been stabbed 15 times answered no, that he had not been the victim of a crime and had never been assaulted. And that was not proven to be jury misconduct.
Oh.
The judge in that case concluded the juror did not intentionally fail to disclose the stabbing incident, saying he appeared to be credible and did not appear to have anything to hide. I don't think that's the same here.
No.
I don't think that's
like a brutal attack.
Yeah. And it could just, if that has nothing to do with the case, I mean, why would you assume you being stabbed
has anything to do with
a traffic jury?
Yeah.
You wouldn't. This is completely different.
These are, very similar.
Yeah. Peterson's attorneys also gave examples of California cases in which there was a presumption of prejudice by a juror, including one juror who failed to disclose she was a victim of child abuse and another who failed to say that she was a victim of domestic violence. They said the Supreme Court has recognized both that the jurors are sometimes unaware of their own biases and are reluctant to admit having biases, and that an unintentional non-disclosure may risk actual bias. The main thing is this appeal would allow them to introduce new evidence.
Yeah.
Which is huge for Scott's team. And that's it.
Damn.
I say that as if, that's all I have.
That's it.
Short sweet, to the point.
Wow.
So, yeah. We could be seeing another Scott Peterson trial. And I don't think it's that crazy to say that we might. That's an insane bias.
Oh, yeah.
And
it's not
if this doesn't work, nothing's going to work.
It's not like it's been that long.
No.
Damn. That's insane.
Isn't it crazy? All of it's crazy.
Just oh my God, getting convicted on circumstantial evidence will blow my mind every time.
It terrifies me. It could happen to you. It could happen to anyone.
Because it's so oh God, it just really depends. It can really go one way or the other.
It really could have.
Casey Anthony is a free woman.
Yeah, it's exactly that. There was no evidence.
O.J. Simpson.
No evidence.
It's insane.
It's crazy. This case baffles me to my core.
It is crazy.
So I'll be looking out for updates on that with my new subscription to the Modesto Bee.
See, like, Chris Watts totally different. He eventually did confess.
He confessed to it.
Like Scott Peterson still.
Never. Which is very smart of him for how dumb he is.
Yeah, all the other dumb shit he does. He hasn't
never gave them anything. Wild.
Damn, that's crazy.
That is wild.
Wow. So insane.
Anyway, it's like 8:30 now, so.
Yeah, you're right. I should do. Not really, but. Wow. All right. Well.
We have nothing left to say. We've said enough.
Yeah. So thanks for listening.
Thanks for sticking around.
To the longest episode ever.
This is, in fact, our longest episode ever.
For sure.
If you would have done Charles Manson in 3 parts, it would have rivaled that.
Yeah.
But you didn't, very smartly. Where would a clean break have been, though, honestly? Nowhere. The prosecution took up probably an hour and 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And the rest of it is so boring. It would have been the worst part ever.
Wouldn't have been enough meat to it.
No. So let us know what you think.
Yeah.
And we'll see you next week for like just some regular timed.
I'm just going to put something together.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode. As always, you can find us on Facebook and Instagram at AlmostPod if you'd like to interact with us and talk about the cases. You can join our Patreon at patreon.com/almostpod. It's a monthly subscription where you get early access to 2-parters, shout-outs, bonus episodes. You can email us at almostpod@gmail.com. Questions, comments, concerns, corrections, compliments. Always compliments. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts,
please be sure to subscribe. That way every week when we drop a new episode, it will automatically download for you to listen to. You can also give us a 5-star rating and write us a review and let us know what you think.
And we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.